Welcome, everybody. We got a great show for you guys tonight. Want to say what's up to this amazing chat. I was talking to a few of you guys before the show. A couple guys really got me excited here in the chat. They're like, Mooch, this is going to be a great year for gaming. And that's kind of like the sentiment we want to take moving forward. I mentioned a couple of times now as we were in 2025 here, starting shows up this year, that we're going to be doing a lot more for the channel. And I know I've said this for a while, but I actually had a great meeting. Shout out to Rich. Hopefully Rich is listening. Rich is someone that's helped me with a lot of the design work, if not majority of the design work you guys have seen over the past couple of years. He's brilliant. His work is amazing. And we came up with some great ideas to get more content on the channel and not take as much time as I had taken in previous iterations of doing videos. So I want you guys to know that I've been here, and I see some of you guys that have subscribed to the channel over the past few weeks, that there is going to be at least one more video a week coming on this channel. And then, like I said, when we start over on Twitch, I will have VODs and YouTube Shorts also being uploaded onto this channel. So you'll have Twitch. You'll also have a lot of dedicated content on top of CrossFire here. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Trust me, this is a great year to do it. There's a ton of content as far as the games that are coming out, the news that's been breaking, the shift in the industry. So with that being said, shout out to Ocelot here. He says, what's up, guys? Hit that like button. Please do, guys. Hit that like button. It really, really means the world to me, as well as hit that subscribe button. Your name comes up in lights. On top of that, I want to take a second to say, as we welcome, of course, we got a couple more panel members joining us right now. Tonight's going to be a great night. Shout out to the great Paul Wright. Paul, thanks for becoming a major Mooch Maniac member. Helping the channel out means the world to me. And speaking of that, not only that, if you look above that phenomenal description right there, is the join button. That's how Paul became a Mooch Maniac family member. He pressed that button and became a member of the family. Truly appreciate every one of you guys. Like I said, we are going to be having more content. 25 seems to be that year. And the amount of games that are coming out, okay, you guys know this, whether they're first party from your beloved platform or it's third party games that are coming, such as like Mafia: The Old Country, Borderlands 4, Judas, of course, GTA 6, which is going to be huge as we go into the fall holiday. You've got Avowed coming out shortly. You have Ghost of Yotai coming out soon. I think still first half of this year, but we'll see. Death Stranding 2. The list goes on and on. If there's no delays, 2025 is going to be quite memorable. It really, really is. Shout out to Kratos, Neil Augusto. I see you guys out there. Arch War Angel. Appreciate Chad Stud, Paul Wright. Guys, please do hit the like button and remind people as you see more people joining the chat to hit that like button. Please help Mooch do a little work for the channel. That being said, I'll get to this outstanding panel that we have, these amazing topics as we go into the gaming weekend. You guys know him. I like that. I don't think he's going to be known as Basement Radio Arcade Podcast anymore. Instead of Brap, we're now going to call him Coach. I think we're just going to call him Coach. He does a lot of different things out there. It doesn't matter if it's soccer, basketball, baseball. I'm just waiting for him to pick up the whistle for football. Brap, I want people to hear your voice. I'm not sure if they believe me anymore when I say Brap is on the way, but the great Brap is here tonight. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. I actually don't have basketball today because school was canceled.
It's a miracle. I figured maybe you got some of the bad weather we got.
Yeah, I was like, Mooch is gonna love this. I'm actually here on time because there's no school. And it's funny you mentioned the coach thing because just let the Giants know I am available for hire.
I wish they would. I wanted Dable gone. I would have taken Brap in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
No, great, Brap, to have you back on the show. We got a bunch of topics. We're having a great discussion, actually. Shout out to TC, Death Singer, Meg, and myself just before the show started. And we're going to start with not the meat and potatoes. We got a lot of big topics tonight. But let me say the one and only, of course, the great Crap Gamer. Crap, I know you're not having bad weather down in Florida, so I don't know how the hell you got here remotely close to start time. But I'm glad you're here.
81, 82 degrees, something like that today. Nice, yeah.
Crap, I mean, you're from the Baltimore area originally. I don't know how the hell you made the transition. I sweat to death down in Florida.
Well, you just get used to it, really, and plus it helps everywhere you go. There's air conditioning, car, air conditioning, work, air conditioning.
That is some godsend.
Home air conditioning. I'm not foolish. I mean, it can be nice if you want to get out to the beach or something, but for the most part, yeah, it's just like it's nice. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to freeze my balls off. So it's like it works out well. You know what I mean? I've lived not only did I live in Maryland, but I lived in Michigan for like 5-6 years, and
that's right.
that was like, whoo, you know what I mean? Like, man, And when I moved up there, right, I had a car, and I took off all the heat and all the smog stuff down here because I never needed it. Right. So I'm up there, no fucking heat. Right, like trying to run this car.
Why the hell?
It's like, yeah, it's like I was like, dude, I was like frozen, man.
Crap,
I was
how
like,
the hell?
This car ain't cutting it.
How does this happen to you? You're in Michigan, you have no heat. Then for almost 2 weeks in Florida, you had no air conditioning when it was 110. You've had the worst of the extremes.
Yeah, I would take the cold without the heat over the other way. You know, that's just me. Like being hot is miserable. You know,
Absolutely.
like just horrible. I can, give me a couple blankets or whatever, and I'm good.
You can add,
cold, you know what I mean?
You can add layers, but you can only take off so much. This is the truth.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Remember that for all you guys listening later in the chat who are thinking of moving below the Mason-Dixon line there in Virginia. So that is warm down there. But Brap, you're down there in the Baltimore area, and it seems to be like the best of both worlds.
I mean, yeah, like in the winters are miserable, like New York winters, and then the summer gets like hot, like maybe not as humid as Central Florida, but it gets pretty hot. It gets pretty humid here.
It does. It really does. The east gets a real humidity, clammy. It's just not great when even up in New York we get that in the summer.
We as you know, Mooch, we literally get all 4 seasons.
Well, listen, speaking of that, Brap, let me introduce the great Mag, who's with us tonight. By the way, for you guys that don't know, Mag lives in Canada. He thinks Michigan is actually Florida weather. So that's the interesting part about that, right, Mag? Welcome back to the show, buddy. Great to have you, by the way, here.
Thanks for having me, Mooch, and everybody on the panel here in the chat. Hi, everybody. Listen, I enjoy the winter because I need a break from the heat, because I can tell you something. I know a lot of people don't believe it up here in Toronto. It gets like Saudi Arabia hot up here. Like we have days of 110, 115, even upwards of 120 in the summertime. And then it goes down to like minus 35 in the winter.
Right.
I need the break from the heat. But meanwhile, right now, while it's snowing and slushing and everything, my brother, funny enough, that crap is here. My brother's in Jacksonville, Florida right now on business. And he keeps sending pictures of of him getting drunk on the beach. And he's like, hey, what's going on up there? He goes, did you go shovel my driveway? And I'm like, dude, I'm going to kill you. I said, but you know what? Summertime in Florida is a nightmare.
It's tough.
You can literally, if you want a glass of water, you could just cut it out of the air. Anyways, I'm glad to be here. We got some things to talk about tonight. Never mind the weather. We have important gaming stuff to talk about, and it's going to be a wild night, man. There's a lot of things, a lot of craziness, and a little bit of controversy in my eyes. Anyway, let's get into the show.
And if I don't bring up that controversy, Meg, make sure that you do. I want to say, listen, I listen to a lot of podcasts, just like my great audience does. Okay, guys, and I watch. You've got Sacred Symbols, some great shows out there. They all start with some great, like, hey, what have you been up to? How's the weather out there? Oh, I went to go visit so-and-so. And I enjoy that part of a podcast. I really do. I got people yelling at me in the chat right now. Is this a gaming podcast, or are we going to be doing the weather report? Guys, it's a show. It's a great show. You're driving. I like to hear a little bit of lead into the games. It's just part of the show. It's great. Everything's great. But no, good to have the great Mag here, our brother from up north there. We also have the great TCMF. TC, I don't know, for some reason, I still got you up in Canada. You might even be living in Maine. I know where you live, it's cold like it is for me. So, and I love the content you've been doing. I don't know how you do the thumbnails and the imagery that you do for X. I don't know how you do it, and I know you're not going to reveal your secrets. But please, the engagement you're getting is through the roof. So, TC, great to have you back on the show. I know you've had a couple of busy weeks with travel and friends and family and stuff. So I really appreciate your time and you being here tonight.
Yeah, no, of course. I've been here. I don't know how many times I've been here at this point, but it's always an interesting conversation.
Well, yeah, is it not? Thank you, TC. I'll take that as a compliment.
It is definitely a compliment. It's always sometimes it gets spicy, but we're past the Activision era. That's the era that I needed to.
Yes, I had to sign a contract to get TCMF on the show. He said only if there's no Activision FT. I don't want FTC or ABK in any of the topics. So listen, it's FTC clear tonight, folks. So the great TCMF is back with us. Great to have you. And of course, last but certainly not least, the great Death Singer. Singer, always great. Singer, honestly, you are phenomenal for Crossfire. You're phenomenal. You were built for Crossfire. You are that spicy, just injection of like all types of topics. You're like, listen, Mooch, I hear what you're saying, but this is where I don't agree with you. So it's fantastic. And we were just doing that just before the show. The great Death Singer is back with us. Singer, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm enjoying Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, as everyone should. Early Game of the Year contender, certified.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely.
And the whole discourse around it is completely stupid. People should give up on it because, RPGs are about choices, right? So if you don't want to romance someone, guess what?
What?
You don't have to.
Well,
keep it moving.
That's
wow. Amazing, right?
That is wonderful advice.
In Baldur's Gate 3, do you want to romance the bit? No. Well, you don't have to. You do? More power to you. Who knew? Choices, people. Anyway,
Yes.
So, yeah, fantastic game, and this is going to be a fantastic show.
Well, Detzinger, I happen to agree with you, and I'm just going to go ahead, and I don't know where to start here. I guess I'm going to start with Mag, because Mag was making some good points. I'm not going to get into the meat and potatoes, guys. I'm really excited to get into the console exclusives discussion. I think that's what really caught the internet on fire this week. But we were talking about the quarterly reports and presentation that was given by Take-Two, and that GTA 6 is still on schedule, Mag. And then we were having a great discussion. I want you to kind of take over what you were saying, and then Crap and Brap will kind of join in on that. Mag, what do you think here? Do you think GTA 6, other games like Metal Gear Solid, Death Stranding, these are games it's supposed to be coming out later end of 2025. They said it's on the way, Mag. Do you believe them?
Okay. The reason why I'm having a problem right now is that there's a lot of mixed messaging going on here. So now what Strauss Zelnick said on the earners call there, in the investors call, is that he talked about. He says this. I'll quote it right here. I've got it right here. He says, "We've announced a pretty narrow window, so I think our view is that right now that's fine. When it's appropriate, of course, Rockstar is going to have more to say." Now he did say that. Then he says to IGN, this is all on the same day, okay? So everybody take this all in. Then he says to IGN that it feels really good about the fall 2025 window. Okay, there it is. So now he's saying that. We're like, all right, he's confident that it's 2025 window, whatever. The other thing that we have to talk about, and I'll get this to that at the end. Then he says, in the same day, he says, look, this is what he says to VentureBeat, by the way, after the earnings call. Look, there's always a risk of slippage, and I think as soon as you say words like absolutely, you jinx things. We know that Rockstar seeks perfection. I never claim success before it occurs. I'm fond of saying arrogance is the enemy of continued success. So we're all running scared and looking over our shoulders, and we know that the competition is not asleep. Our whole organization is super excited. So now he's planted a seed of doubt. So you go into two different avenues and say, I'm confident it's coming out this year. You tell the investors you're confident that it's coming out this year. Obviously, Strauss Zelnick understands the rules and the laws of this land. There was something I was talking about behind the scenes with you, Mooch, before we started the show tonight, is that you cannot... When you speak to investors, you can get in trouble. You can even get arrested for it, for sales under false pretense. So what happens is if you tell a group of investors, say, oh, by the way, we're doing this, that, and the other, and they expect projections and forecasts based on what you said, and you don't follow through with that, if you give them that guarantee and they invest and it doesn't happen, that's a big problem.
It's a huge problem.
That's sale under false pretense. You cannot do that either. So you have to be careful there. But then all of a sudden he does this what's it called? The scarecrow from the Wizard of Oz. What? It's that way, and he's pointing in both directions. And I'm like, dude. Then you go to VentureBeat and you say, I'm not sure.
Right.
What is happening here? And the thing that I'll tell you something. The thing that's pissing me off about this whole situation is that you have held, and this is something that Rockstar and Take-Two, I'm not happy about them in this respect, is that you've held the second half of the year completely hostage from every other publisher in the world because they're all scared of your game.
That's right.
They're terrified of being anywhere near the release window of your game, and I think that's completely unfair. I think it's irresponsible, to be quite honest, because they're like, well, we're the 500-pound gorilla in the room, and we'll do whatever we need to do whenever we want. And I'm like, well, there's also like 6 other 500-pound gorillas in the room, maybe 400-pound gorillas in the room, compared to GTA, right? But they're still there. And there should be some kind of a financial responsibility where at some point you got to say, okay, you're not oblivious to it. If Mag knows and Mooch knows and Brap knows and Crap and Death Singer and everybody else at TC and the chat, they all know that everybody's waiting for GTA. then Take-Two knows that everybody's waiting for GTA before they even announce the release windows of their games. You see how Microsoft went top heavy in the first half of this year, right? They announced a bunch of games. You got Avowed, you've got South of Midnight, you've got Doom coming out.
Doom, yeah.
Right, and then you've got the second half of the year. They do have a couple other games. You got Sony about to do a state of play. We don't know when their games are coming, right? And I think that a lot of this is based on this situation, and them not saying anything and not putting a guarantee on it is really flubbing what should be one of the greatest years in video game history. And you're just, like I said, you're basically holding the whole year hostage, and it's not fair. So now, the more I'm reading into this, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, well, he's saying X, Y, and Z, but then I'm looking and I'm like, but at the same time, he's saying A, B, C to somebody else. This needs to be ironed out, and it's good. It's got to be soon. And I tell you one thing, I spoke to two people who work for two different publishers, and they said that they are pissed about this situation as it drags on now into the second month of the year. And they said that and one of those publishers is from Microsoft. The other one's a third-party one. And they said they're not happy about it at all. Now they're getting irritated.
They want to at least have a 4-week window between the release of this game. So everything you said is true. It's on hold. Shout out to that guy. He says, I hope that... I don't know why he said this. He goes, Mooch, I want GTA 6 to fail. I'm going to personally wait 2 years to buy it. I have a feeling why you might wait the 2 years. I think you want the game to be absolutely just in perfect condition. But I don't think I can wait that long. We've already been waiting since, 2012? So we can't wait any longer, or something like this, 2012, 2013.
It's getting irritating at this point.
It really is.
And the thing is, you have guaranteed releases this fall. I think, just like you think that you're saying, Mooch, is that Ghost of Yotai is going to release the first half of this year. You've got, Mafia is theirs, but still Mafia is theirs, and Borderlands is theirs as well. That's also Take-Two. They're releasing guaranteed somewhere a little bit earlier than that. They don't want to cannibalize their own sales. But you also have Call of Duty, which is going to be in there somewhere in the mix.
That's right.
There's still that rumor out there that Gears E-Day is still coming this year. You got the possibility also of the Gears collection coming to PlayStation this year and Xbox.
That's right.
But the Marcus Phoenix collection. So those things are still in the mix somewhere. But you've got those big games. You also have Death Stranding 2 coming out.
Well, you have other games that haven't been. And guys, chime in on the panel on what you think about this, because this is really going to impact, I think, the latter part of this year. But you've got games like Borderlands 4, Mafia Old Country, Judas, right? That's the Ken Levine game. Like, there's a lot of different games that have been slated for 2025. They're all waiting on their hands to have a release date because of GTA. I mean, Brap, what do you think about this?
I think get out of the way of GTA 6. Look, it's literally gonna suck the air out of the room. This thing, Matt Piscatella talked about this last year. I think he talked about this actually will be a big year for gaming, based on what he had said about a year ago, because you have the release of the Switch 2, and then you have GTA 6, which I just said is going to suck the air out of the room. It's one of those, and I could certainly understand the perspective of some of the publishers that Max spoke to about being upset. Like, you're trying to figure out release window. It's like, do we release GTA 6, or do we avoid releasing in that launch window? Because it literally is going to be. This thing's going to sell gangbusters. I think there's a lot of pent up demand for GTA since it's been 13 years since the last GTA.
Yeah.
And this thing's going to do massive numbers. Massive. I'm sure Strauss is just licking his chops right now and just imagining what he's going to buy with his bonus money from the sales of GTA.
Well,
6,
Brap, I'm glad you said that. Shout out to Wobzilla in the chat. Thank you for the super chat. He says, greatness can't be rushed. A lot of folks clamoring for GTA 6 would be the loudest haters complaining if the game was rushed to market. So just using Wobzilla's point, I mean, that is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. Because think about it, Brap. He's licking his lips, his chops, right? He wants to have this game come out. He wants to make hundreds of millions of dollars instantly. But if this game's broken or something happens at launch, that's a problem.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would definitely be a problem. But I think I think at least in my opinion, and I know Strauss kind of left it to interpretation for the reasons that because it was their earnings call with investors, for the reasons that Mag mentioned. But I think it's going to end up releasing this year, fall of 2025. Almost said 2025. And but I don't disagree. Like, if it's obviously if a game's not ready, don't release it. But I think the one thing that and I could be wrong, I think the one thing that potentially bodes well for them is that really focusing only on the console release of this game and not PC. So there's not that to contend with in terms of QAing and running development in parallel. So, but yeah, I mean, I if I'm a publisher or developer, I'd hate to be in their shoes right now trying to figure out if I have a game that I'm looking to release, when do I release it? Do I release it close to GTA? Because those things do happen. I mean, there was a couple years ago, there was a release window. Maybe it was the first Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
Released, and it got like it released with next to something else. It got, and so those things happen.
Brad, that's the famous Titanfall 2 situation.
Oh, yeah,
that's right.
Like,
yeah.
that will ring out through history because they wedged it between Call of Duty and Battlefield, and
I remember that.
And a fantastic game was unfortunately sent out to die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And nobody wants to do that anymore because we've reached a financial point in the video game industry where losing money is no longer an option. As you're going to see with console hardware, they're not losing money anymore. They saw what Apple's doing. They're like, Apple's making billions of dollars. Why am I selling this console at a loss? The next PS5, PS6 is going to be $750, $800. I guarantee it. And then same on the other side of the fence with Xbox, well, whatever they end up doing. So with the games as well, and they do not want to put it up against there. But the thing is, when the other company is not talking, you know what I mean? You are causing a major rift throughout the industry where I think at some point it may actually push some of those 2025 games into the first quarter of 2026.
Yeah. So you have a situation right now where I think Call of Duty's locking in for October. I think GTA 6 comes out November. I think they want to have as much time as they can in the 2025 year calendar. But I guess my question would be to Detzinger. Detzinger, the other part of our conversation before we went live was the concern on whether or not, we think that consoles will see either an unlocked frame rate over 40 or 60 frames with a dumbed down resolution. Singer, you had a little bit of concern on that as far as GTA 6 on even the PS5 Pro.
Well, yeah. And the concern comes from a valid place, because it's that CPU. Like, as much as you want to go, we could do this, we could do that, we could do this, there is only so much you could squeeze from old hardware. It's just a fact. On PC, it comes to a point where you're like, well, this ain't working for me anymore. I have to upgrade. And you're forced to, because games become more taxing. And unfortunately, Rockstar games have always been heavily simulation. Like, you've always needed a good CPU to run Rockstar games, typically.
Right.
And that's because CPU controls NPCs. It controls the stuff going on around in the world. It controls all the simulation aspects. And if they're making an even bigger world, a more dense simulation world than GTA 5, which is what they're going to want to do, you want a better product than 5, all that has to come from the CPU. And I just don't think it has the horsepower to do all that it needs to do. So I think they would drop it to 30 to make sure that it looks beautiful, which it will. It'll look absolutely gorgeous. And they'll keep it to 30 to make sure performance is smooth. And that's my only concern, because you could put it to 60, you could lower the resolution, but do Rockstar want to do that?
Okay,
Is
so
that an option for them?
No, and that's a great question. Shout out to Face23. He says, I'm looking forward to a new AAA Castlevania game, supposedly girding a reveal trailer on State of Play or a Nintendo Direct. Face, thank you for the super chat, buddy. I completely, dude, look, you're speaking my language. You're talking about Castlevania. That's what I grew up on. 95% of games this gen on console are 60 FPS. That's true, Face. But I'll go to TC here. TC, is this a problem, TC? Because, listen, Face just said it. He goes, oh, well, 60% of games have had, or 95% of games have had a 60 FPS option. You said this very similar thing before we went live. You said, Mooch, the thing that people have to realize here is, regardless of what they have to do, they're going to have to offer a performance mode. But will that performance mode hit 60 FPS?
So, to the audience, what there wasn't in the conversation, to give a better description of what I said. Originally, I said that there's two sides to the whole thing. One side is that, yes, The problem with it wouldn't be different resolutions, wouldn't be just the visuals. It would be the CPU. The game would hit the CPU bound of the console, and there would be an issue there because of the NPCs, just like I was just mentioned, the NPCs and the whole entire world, the simulation and everything like that. But I also said on the other side that this generation, 60 FPS has been the standard. 60 FPS and offering a 30 FPS. I know it's Grand Theft Auto. I know it's one of the biggest games in the world and in history, of course. But to me, it would be shocking that they wouldn't offer a performance mode, even though they're Grand Theft Auto. Even their GTA 5 players have moved over to 60 on console. They're focusing on console, so they understand the limits, and I'm pretty sure they're looking at the market, so they understand what people really want. And people want 60 FPS. So yeah, we understand the conversation when it comes to CPU bound, but none of us know how much simulation they're doing. And they know the capabilities of the PlayStation 5, Series X, and Series S is going to be an interesting one too. But they know the capabilities of these consoles, and they can see what the market is showing, and they know what the market wants. So it's going to be a matter of we have to wait and see what they do at the end of the day. I don't think it's okay to just say it's GTA, so that's why it's okay for it to have 30 FPS. It's a GTA that's going to run below average for what most players have been used to on the console space this entire generation.
Yeah, no. Shout out to Sheffield Sphere, Detzinger. This one I thought this was unique and slightly comical. But Detzinger, he goes, Detzinger is so used to Xbox and PC games, he's forgotten what talented devs are able to accomplish. So he's saying, of course, he throws a bit of a zinger in there, Detzinger. But what he's saying basically is he thinks the folks that are working at Rockstar are rock stars, and they'll make it happen. They're going to figure it out. There's something to that?
Like that comment is absurdly stupid, right? Because if you think about it, it doesn't matter how talented you are, you can only work with the hardware you got, right?
This is true.
I think he's referring to just how well they can optimize their game.
Right,
That's what I think.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it'll be very well optimized. Oh, I'm sure it will. But you can't overcome physics and everything the simulation you put into the game. If I want 2,000 NPCs to be running around my city, all performing actions, driving, doing all these other actions, all of that comes from the CPU. So
yeah, but the way to get around that is obviously there's reality of capabilities of the console, which is what I was saying earlier, but they also would have to downscale their ambitions. I'm pretty sure when they started developing GTA 6, they knew like what the limitations of the console is. And I'm pretty sure I would be shocked if they're going to ignore the market. The market is used to 60 FPS. It's no longer the case where console players are fine and happy with 30 FPS, like their daily driver, like it's nothing, no big deal. Console players have gotten used to 60 performance, and they'll take that.
Can I? And let me tell you, Detzinger, the reason I want to just piggyback real quick on what TC said, and then I'll let you, respond, is look at the delay for Avowed. Avowed was going to be 30 FPS. They took the extra time to go in and figure it out because TC's right. At this point in time, I would say that console gamers are really not going to stand for the 30 FPS thing, even on games as great as GTA 6. I mean, that there's something to that. We are far enough along. We're on the second half of this generation now, and a lot of games are offering that, regardless of how they have to optimize it or what the changes or what the things they have to reduce to get to that are. That's a them problem, right? At this point, Singer,
I think they will see that now. There could be a 60 FPS mode. I never said there wouldn't be.
No, I hear you.
But I wouldn't be surprised if it came out at 30. Now it might come out at 30. And then later on down the road, they release a 60 FPS performance mode once they've figured some stuff out. Because, yeah, they would have had the scope of the game, but they're going to want the game to be at least as big and compact as GTA 5, right? So you're going to have to... Because people now have expectations. After GTA 5, you got to meet and exceed those expectations. So they have to figure it out. They might figure it out, and they'll reduce a lot of the quality in the game to give you the 60 FPS. And if you want 60 FPS, you'll just have a blurrier game. I mean, they've done that before. Look at Final Fantasy VII. When that released, you had like the blurrier performance mode and then the 30 quality mode. So they could do something like that. So it's possible.
But like
I just
Final
wouldn't
Fantasy
be
VII
surprised.
is a bit of an outlier. I know you bring that as an example, but it's kind of a bit of a outlier with that type of issue and the blurriness. Everybody was shocked by the visuals when it came to the performance.
Thing is, I don't know how it's going to go because Dragon's Dogma 2 is another CPU intensive game. And we saw how that turned out. Now, that could be on the devs and the fact they're using trashy-ass Unreal Engine.
Yeah,
but
that's
whatever.
where I was going to go.
Yeah, the trashy-ass Unreal Engine, which Rockstar used their own proprietary engine. So, I mean, they could have it all figured out. And I could be completely wrong, but I just wouldn't be surprised if they go, this is what it's going to be. It just wouldn't surprise me.
Of course, anything can happen. Anything can happen. It's just that it would be surprising to me, considering the market, that they don't offer a 60 FPS mode, even though they're Grand Theft Auto and that's they can't just roll on. It's kind of ridiculous to say it. They can't roll on their name, obviously, but it just the market is. And you were referring to earlier expectations from the people who played Grand Theft Auto 5. It's not only just in the visuals and the world. Now their expectations are 60 FPS. That's what Grand Theft Auto 5 players have gone used to, even in console.
100%. Yeah. I mean, so shout out to JPF 997. Thank you for the super chat. He says, in 1995, Sega created a division, Sega PC, dedicated to porting all of their high-profile games to PC. History is repeating itself. Saturn equals Series XS. Dreamcast equals next-gen Xbox handheld. Shout out to JPF 997. We're going to get into a little bit of that and what's going on with Microsoft in a moment. J Hart RIC, he says it has to run on the Series S. He's referring to GTA 6. So I would think at least the Pro could hit 60. I'm almost able to put together what you're saying there, J Hart, but I mean, really, that's two completely different animals than what you're discussing there. It'll be interesting to see how the Series X handles GTA 6 as well. Face23 again with the super chat. Thank you. He says, Gotham Knights got destroyed since that game was only 30 FPS. Remember, the FF7, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth on 5 Pro is not blurry at 60 FPS. I will say, I agree with you there, and I think your first part of your comment really is in line with what TC's been saying. But I think when it comes down to it, Final Fantasy 7, as glorious and great as that game was, is not of the magnitude that we are dealing with GTA 6. I'm not sure if those are an apples for apples comparison either. But I do appreciate that conversation piece. Thank you very much, Face. Pardon me. All right, I want to switch over here. We were talking about that before the show, so I wanted to get into it a bit because I think GTA 6 is it is the pillar of 2025. A lot of you listening may go, not for me, Mooch. I have a lot of other games I'm looking forward to. That may be, but crap. This is kind of one of the hot topics I wanted to talk about. I've got 2 or 3 big ones tonight. This is a big one. Here we are again, crap. Here we are again. And this topic kind of stems into 3 different areas, but I'll start with the usual suspects. Console exclusives, crap, will soon be obsolete, says Games Journalist. Why, in my opinion, I'm asking you this. Why does the media think that the Xbox formula is the winning formula when there's not the results to show that? Why is it? And I think the one gaming journalist, just to clarify, was talking more about the third-party exclusives. It wasn't going to be first-party exclusives, but
it was Jason Schreier.
It was, yes. Well, he doesn't like. So I don't always put his name out there. He doesn't like his name out there. So, but yes, he was the individual. I just think when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, where are we coming up with console exclusives will be obsolete? Is that him saying that because he thinks like the way Square Enix is talking right now, where they're saying, we may not want to go and cut deals like we did with Sony or cut deals with Nintendo moving forward. Clearly, they're not going to do that with Xbox.
It's almost
anymore.
like they vilify, right? If
you
ever hear the way that people talk about it, it's almost like they're vilifying them. If you like, and I was a victim of that back in 2016 because I went out with Phil Spencer. I'm like, you guys announced this game as exclusive for 3 years. Then 3 weeks before launch, you're like, nope. Right? I was like, people might have bought an Xbox in that time expecting to play this game and they didn't have to. I was like, it's really shitty to do that to people, right? So, and everybody's like, oh man, because somebody else can play it, I mean, there's a long list of reasons why, not having exclusives hurts the industry. And people are all so caught up in the industry, they're like, I wish everything was available and everything. I mean, the day that would happen, two of the consoles would die within a year. I guarantee it. Because who the hell would play Nintendo games that way if you could play them in play them on a really much better console,
right?
And of course, Xbox has that we're seeing them tank anyway, right? And their games are everywhere, so we're seeing that happen like real time. So only PlayStation would be left, and they could charge whatever they want, do whatever they want. We're seeing sort of the results of no competition right now, right?
Yep.
Like Sony's not in a hurry to go do a showcase. They're playing. They're playing in the field and sniffing the dandelions. Hey, Concord failed. No biggie. They're chill, right? Why would they not be? Because there is zero threat from another console. Their Xbox is zero threat to them. Nobody's gonna go jump ship to Xbox. That's like saying somebody's gonna jump ship to the Dreamcast, right? Like, I mean, realistically, I couldn't say, like, and I like Xbox, but I couldn't recommend it to someone at this point unless you were just looking to do Game Pass and rentals, right? I wouldn't say, hey, build up a library, because I'm not sure that there's going to be a library there in the near-term future, right? Because I don't see how this strategy works where you have a console but nothing that makes people want to buy it. And I heard Phil say, we want to win on hardware because we want to be innovative and we want to do this. Like, in 2017, you had the most powerful console. You already introduced VRR and a whole bunch of crap, backwards compatibility, auto HDR. Then you came out with the newer console, and it's like smart delivery and quick resume. You guys already are. You already have innovation and things like that, and nobody's buying it. And they didn't buy the One X because you didn't have anything exclusive. Right. They didn't buy the Series X because
just to chime in on that. Sorry, I don't think I'm assuming, because I gotta, like, Phil Spencer's let me down like for a long time. So this is one of the few times where I got interested in what he said. Because I'm assuming when he's talking about features for the next console, and that's what they want to, like, ecosystem in general, that's what they want to sell people on. I'm assuming it's features for the user. Game Pass, I'm assuming, is one of them, but I'm really curious what other features he could be referring to that would entice gamers themselves to play over on the Xbox ecosystem. I'm assuming it's play anywhere, That's one of them. Absolutely. If they have the handheld, they have PC.
They've had Play Anywhere since 2016.
17 or 16,
I'm just referring to, like, what features they have right now. I don't know what they're gonna have, and that's what he's trying to push forward. I'm interested in that because if he actually is putting that much weight on that statement, I'm really curious. That's the only thing I've gotten interested in terms of.
Spencer's a manure salesman, though. You got to remember that, right? He's
I know. He talks. It's
just 4 games and no promises beyond that. Okay, we're buying ZeniMax. We're buying ZeniMax for exclusive games where Game Pass exists. Bank on it. We hate not having our expectations for our Xbox owners. They're always wondering, is this game going there or there? We want to do better than that, and we're going to do better than that from now on. Right? Come on. I mean, those are all.
I get that. So, I 100%. I 100% get that, and I'm saying, like, he's let me down many times in the past, but I'm saying this is one of the few times where I've gone interested in what he said. I'm hoping he backs it with something interesting when they reveal the next console and their handheld and whatever they're trying to do next. I'm hoping. But Phil Spencer's let me down many times before. So I know
the interesting thing is, though, is like, and I said this, right? That, okay, so people have been asking for a handheld for a while. Great. I guess if it were able to play your native Xbox catalog, if it's just a PC handheld, then who gives a shit? But other than that, it's like people have been asking for that for a while, but you're putting your games and rumor has it pretty much everything on the Switch 2. So if you buy a Switch 2, you're going to get access to Xbox games and all the great Nintendo games. So, like, they cool guide themselves out of that. You know what I mean? Like, hey, let me put my best stuff on this other platform that already was running circles around our software. And that's why it doesn't really make sense to me. It's like when you look at it, and I don't think necessarily this generation's over. Like, the Xbox went to a standstill in terms of sales. Like, they're saying it only sold 3 million worldwide in 2024, which is piss poor, and basically next to not. I mean, those are like Wii U numbers, but
they gave up on the Xbox One era early on as well. Even though they went the 7 years, like you can tell they gave up a long time ago.
Yeah, like this is the thing that I would say, and I know people like to clip Mooch's show, but I never hear anybody like really have a good explanation for this. So Microsoft gave up partway through the Xbox One generation. They canceled a bunch of games, closed a bunch of studios. Didn't come out with anything in the back half of that, except for like these low-rated like things. You know what I mean? Like really bad games, Bleeding Edge and Crackdown 3 and this kind of stuff, right? And so we know that they did that. And now we know that they are quitting early in this generation too, right? They changed course a couple times and quit early in this generation. Why would people try? Like they're doing that Sega thing. Like people don't understand why Sega went out of the consoles business. There's a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons is that Sega really lost trust with the fans, right? They had a really good console that was really unique at the time, the Dreamcast was, and people still love the Dreamcast, right? I do, but let's just be honest and be real about it. People didn't trust them at that point, and I think we're at that point with Xbox where people aren't going to trust what they're doing. And so if you go into next generation and you go, okay, well, I can buy this Xbox that only plays Xbox games, or I can buy this PS6 that plays Xbox, PlayStation, and gets more third-party stuff like Black Myth, Wukong, and all this other stuff. I mean, it's an easy kind of thing to kind of navigate where most people are. Now, there's going to be people that have big libraries that are going to still get an Xbox. I understand that, right? But at the same time, that's a very small group of people, in my opinion. I mean, you might have a couple million people that do that, but overall, what we're seeing and what I believe we're going to see next generation is from Xbox. I don't even think they're going to sell their console is not going to have a disc option. I'm 100% positive on that. Their console is not going to be sold in stores. It's only going to be sold direct, right? Like they're going to say, "Hey, you want an Xbox? You got to get it through such and such." Like that's how it is overseas already. Like in Europe, like you can only get an Xbox online. Yeah, right? They don't sell them in stores. They don't do any of that stuff. So, I really feel like they kind of put themselves in this corner where their hardware is almost kind of worthless. And I know some people will go, well, Game Pass, that's the thing. That's the ticket. And my point to that is that ticket's already maxed out almost. I mean, it's been around for 8 years, right? And nobody has like flocked to an Xbox to get Game Pass. Like I get it. It's a good value to some people, but it's created this group of gamers that refuse to buy games. Yeah. Right? Like I don't understand that thought process at all. Like people just refuse to buy it. Like if it's not in Game Pass, they won't get it. Did you see like MLB The Show? It's not in Game Pass this year, and people are like, "Well, I'm not going to play it then."
Right. But
once
Microsoft is done putting that checkbook out and doing with the deals that they have for that, like, that's the whole point too. And I know that Indiana Jones, some people were saying, "Oh, it did well." I don't know if it did. Did it do absolutely like gangbuster numbers? I don't know. I know it did well for the month of December, but was the month of December really a packed month with a lot of competition?
Well, it didn't do well. It did 4 million players.
4 million players.
But in terms of sales on like MPD or whatever it's called now, it actually was behind the Spider-Man 2, which came out like 2 years ago.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's why it's going to be on PlayStation in a few months. Yeah.
I don't necessarily look at that as good numbers. I mean, maybe to them or whatever, but it's like when you see 4 million, I think Hi-Fi Rush, which was very niche, got 2 million almost right away. Right? Like, and that apparently wasn't good. I mean, if you look at things like Ghostwire Tokyo got 5 million, Grounded got 10 or 15 million players, or whatever the case is. And so, that's how I look at that. You know what I mean?
I agree. So here's a comment that was in the chat, and Meg, I'll ask you this one here because Crap made some good points about what's going on with Xbox currently in the next generation. But he says here, and I'm just looking here, Rainwalker, and by the way, Rainwalker, I appreciate your comment here. He says, I always found exclusives as the dumbest thing to exist in gaming. Meg, the one thing, if we were to sit down and have a great slice of pizza, right, and have a discussion, and you're like, oh, my great grandfather made this pizza. This was his original sauce. This was his recipe. And I go, Meg, this is amazing. You took me to your family's establishment. We're having pizza here. You told me about 4 generations of Mag family sauce and how you're going to pass it down. Like, that's tradition. That's what gives a brand or a family an identity. So when someone says, I always found exclusives to be dumb, if everything is just, there's no exclusives or there's no presence to a product, I always wonder, how does that product strive to exist?
It just it makes everything androgynous. You know what I mean? It's just everything would just be the same. Now the thing is that there are 2 thoughts here that I have about this whole thing. Is I think in the entire world, and what you just mentioned there, what is one of the taglines of McDonald's besides "I'm loving it"? Home of the Big Mac.
Right.
So you know that if you want to go get a Big Mac, you can only get it at the one place. You're not going to Burger King to get the Big Mac and the Whopper in the same place.
No,
you're going to get it there. Now the thing is, on the business side, let me just get the business side out of the way first. What Microsoft is doing, that's their business. I really actually don't care what they're doing with that. They want to do that, that's fine. But what's happening is, and I talked about this with Colt on XNC, and actually we had Paris on
yes,
Monday.
You did, yes.
And the 3 of us were talking, and I said something. So just so anybody gets twisted about the way I speak, they're like, oh, Meg says one thing on CrossFire, but he says another thing on NCSC. No, I'm saying the exact same thing I said on Monday, is that you're making people have the option. If you want to play in Game Pass and do whatever, go ahead, do that, whatever. But the thing is, you made the decision for people who can only afford one. Next generation, you've made the decision a lot easier. And the reason why I'm going to say that is because now you can get a PlayStation 6, for example, right? And when you get a PlayStation 6, now you're going to be able to get Xbox, PlayStation, third party, all in one place. There's no need to have access to anything else. Now, the thing is, and then Colt countered with me, and he says, well, they're releasing 6 to 8 games a year, this and that. And I said, but no one's playing and no one's buying 6 to 8 games out of just from Xbox.
No.
You got to remember that you've got 6 to 8 from Xbox, then you've got 6 to 8 from third party, and then you've got anywhere from 2 to 5, let's say, or 2 to 6 or whatever, 3 to 8 on PlayStation that year. No one's buying every single one of those games.
Right.
So the thought of like the Game Pass being $240, let's say you're buying 2 of those AAA games from Microsoft, 3 from third party, 2 from Sony. If you buy those 2 from Xbox, that's $140. There's no need to spend the $240 to get the Game Pass just for, you know what I mean, to get those games throughout the year. The point, and sorry, I didn't want to go off on a tangent there. Let me get back to the topic here. The reason why I brought that up is because when you give people too many options, they're going to go and they're going to go be where their friends are, where their family is, where their games are, where their ecosystem is, where they're comfortable. But if you do something so compelling somewhere else, you've now created a situation where people have to sit back and go, holy crap, I really want to play that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so what happened is, like, for example, let's go back to the PlayStation 4 era. When God of War came out and the IGN score was 10 out of 10, and then everybody else came out 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, people started buying PlayStations in bulk. They started selling by the 5s and 10s of millions that year. Spider-Man, okay, I'll bend the knee to this. I know that during the Black Friday of that year, they were selling the Spider-Man PS4s for $199, and people were buying them by the bucket load because they were pretty much putting them as stocking stuffers that year, right?
Yeah,
I get that. However, when you offer compelling software in one place, you're kind of forcing people to go there, and you're going to see, and that's why the business model, when people say, oh, well, everybody's doing this. No, they're not. Microsoft is doing this. When Microsoft does something, that doesn't mean that's applicable to the rest of the industry. PlayStation and Nintendo are going to continue their business model because they continue to find massive amounts of success doing so. When the Switch 2 comes out, and the Switch 2 comes out and offers, I don't know, what is it, 2 or 3? There's 2 or 3 rumored games around the launch of the system, right? Big first-party games. You will only be able to play that on a Switch 2. So if you even have a tickle on your balls to play Mario Kart, you're only going to play it in one place.
Yeah. So
you know what I'm saying?
I mean, Mooch.
So,
yeah. No, let Beck finish his thought, and I'll go in.
All right, I'll be quick. You can only play it in one place, and therefore you are going to go out and you're going to buy that Switch too. On the PlayStation side, if you want, same thing there. Unless, of course, you're going to be like Death Singer, who's going to wait till 2029 for GTA 6.
That's right.
But that's a whole other story. That's a whole other story. But the thing is, the rest of the people, if you want to get it, you're going to get it there. Now, I will say one last thing. I'll pass it off to Brad. PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, those were my consoles of choice back in the 90s. When the 360 came out, I was watching TV. I'll never forget this. I was sitting down watching TV. I had no interest in Xbox. I never had an OG Xbox. I started at the 360.
Yep.
And I'm sitting on the couch and I'm watching TV. I think I was watching football. And I'm doing my thing, whatever. And I see Dead Rising. And I sat up and I go, whoa. And I'm like, what the hell is that? Because remember, in that time, we were doing PlayStation 2 graphics, right? And OG Xbox graphics. I see this game come on the thing. And I'm a zombie nut just like you.
Absolutely.
So I sit up on the couch and I go, what the hell is this? And then I'm like, where's this? And it says only on Xbox. You know, I swear to God, that week I went out and bought a 360.
That's right.
And they got my loyalty for 2 generations.
No, we have a very similar story, Mag, not just similar voices, because I was big PS1, PS2 as well, and it was Gears of War. The minute I saw...
That's what did it for me. I saw Cliffy B was on G4 TV playing Gears of War. This was before the 360 even came out. And he was on there playing it, and I dropped what I was doing. I was like, what the hell? I had never seen anything like that. And I bought an Xbox 360 for Gears of War. I bought a PS3 for Metal Gear Solid 4. There's always a reason.
There's a reason.
And a game.
Crap.
Yeah. I bought Titanfall. Sold me on an Xbox One. Right, like that was going to be the next big multiplayer game, and I did. I put like over 1,000 hours in that game. You know, it's not my fault that EA killed it or whatever, because that was a amazing game. But yeah, there's always been a reason as to why I would buy a console, and I like to buy all of them for the distinct things that they offer.
That's right,
and that's something that you lose if all of them are playing the same things, because they're relatively, like, Xbox and PlayStation are, power-wise relatively the same damn thing these days. So it's like, it's not even a big deal. You're not going to get some amazing thing through one that you're not going to get with the other. So it really just the games are what really kind of showcase.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to finish the fight? Was that only me?
It was only UTC.
Damn, nobody wanted to finish the fight. Okay.
I love Halo and I respect Halo, but I would definitely put myself in the lore to Xbox was Gears for me. It was much more.
Gears is what got me to get a 360 before PS3, but I originally, anyways, was going to get a 360 because I wanted to finish the fight. But yeah, I saw Gears on a trailer when I was in the Middle East. I saw Gears on a trailer, and I was like, okay. Then I went to I picked one up not too long after.
We'll see TCE.
Yeah, Mooch.
Go ahead, Singer, and then I want to get Brad.
You weren't the only one. Halo was what got me to get the original Xbox, the OG Halo, because it was the only game with it. It was that and Crazy Taxi, I think, in the box. And as soon as that theme, as soon as the Halo theme song came on, I was sold. There was nothing to tell me on planet Earth as soon as I heard that.
Do you know why I got the original Xbox? It wasn't Halo. It was because of Conker's Live and Reloaded, since Microsoft bought Rare, and I loved Conker's Bad Fur Day. It's still one of my favorite games of all time on the 64. I saw that remade on the Xbox, the original Xbox, and I think I got it then, and then I got into Halo after that, and then the 360 era came through.
To clarify one thing before I alley-oop this to Brab here, because poor guy's been waiting, is that the one thing to clarify is that, and I say this on XNC as well, and I say that on my own channel, is that if you're staying on Xbox, no problem. I'm not demonizing anything or anybody or what they do. If you're there and your friends are there and everything else is there and your library's there, I've got over 1,000 games on my Xbox.
Yeah, got a lot of games.
And I think I've got 7,000 or 8,000 followers on the actual system of friends and whatever else. And that doesn't include my PlayStation friends. And so the thing is, I have family there. I got family on the other side too. But the thing is, it's an option. So the option is still there. If you got your Xbox, you got your Game Pass, and you're happy with it, wonderful. Stay there, enjoy it, and whatever else. But don't expect numbers to rise in that camp when they're bringing the party to you now, as let's say a PlayStation player or a Switch 2 player, and they're bringing the party to you, they have eliminated all desire to move over to that other side or to open it up. Yes, the option's there. I bought a brand new monitor and I turned it on, a brand new PC monitor, and you know what it said on the screen, on the home screen? It said, play Indiana Jones in the Great Circle, and underneath it says no console required. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. So I mean, if I didn't have the money to buy the game, or I didn't have an Xbox or whatever else, and I really wanted to play Indy Jones and it was there and it was the only place I can get it, I'd be like, you know what? I'll spend that $20 for the Game Pass for the month and I'll play it right off my monitor.
That's right.
There is an option. There are options for everybody. So like I said, I've come to this point in my life where I've done demonizing one side or the other. I'm just going to listen, the options are there, but the thing is, you know, when you've got the numbers are going to go down, let's say on the Xbox side of things, don't be surprised as to why, because they don't care where you're doing it. And what they're trying to do is that, like I said, if you're not going to leave your party, then they're going to bring the party to you. And so at the end of the day for them, it's about getting those sales in there, getting the engagement in there and everything else. And they don't care where it goes anymore. So they're doing that, and then they're moving away from all that. Sorry, Brap, go ahead, dude.
Yeah, Brap,
I'm so sorry.
Take the mic, Brap.
Yeah, I just, it's always an interesting conversation or topic that comes up for some reason with really specifically to video games, because I don't think we have these. I don't think there's pundits out there like Jason Schreier saying, "Oh, the Big Mac is going to be obsolete one day and it'll be at Burger King." Like we like Air Jordan will be on Reebok. Like we don't. Or Stranger Things will no longer be exclusive. Like we don't have those conversations with any other entertainment medium or consumer product where there's some form of exclusivity. There's value in exclusivity for brands. There's value in exclusivity for consumers too.
That's right.
Where consumers feel like they're part of something. That's why consumers get locked into ecosystems. That's why Apple is. I mean, look. I mean, it's funny. Like all the talk around exclusivity and. I saw Paris say, third-party games reach more people and make more money. Well, actually, yes, they do reach more people, have the potential to reach more people, but no, they don't necessarily make more money. And actually, I talked to a developer a while ago who mentioned, they're basically said each has its own unique set of circumstances or challenges, risk reward, third party and first party. But one of the things that stood out to me is that third party, there's sometimes heightened risk or pressure or expenses in development, because now you're developing for multiple platforms. It means more resources, manpower, QA, all that other stuff that goes into that, right?
Yep.
But anyhow, it's interesting because
why this? Why only this? You're right, Brap. Why only this field of media?
I don't know. Like I just think that people. I think that people are like, yeah, I don't want to refer to them as console hippies, but I feel like they're like they're kind of like in their, like, I don't know, like they're like they want to have this utopian view of gaming, and it's like, no, guys, like all those things sound great. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Tear down the garden, like that all sounds great on paper, but the reality is that Sony makes exclusives, Nintendo makes exclusives because the market has shown. The free market, as we call it, has shown that, we want those things. We will pay money for those things. In fact, we'll pay $10 more for those things than you charge just the console generation before, and we'll happily do it. In fact, we'll actually pay you even more money for early access release to those exclusives. So it's just a weird thing, like Schreier saying console exclusives will become obsolete soon. Based on what? Like,
I'm sure he maybe spoke to one or two developers that maybe feel that way, or maybe a publisher that feels that way. But that doesn't mean that when Sony or Nintendo pick up the phone, Brap, to cut a deal and they're willing to put a certain bag of money on the table for a year or 2 year exclusive to their console, even third party wise, I don't see them saying no to that.
Yeah, and he says especially for third party publishers. Now that seems more. That seems a bit more tangible that would happen, but again, just to the idea of exclusivity or exclusives, like I don't see them so long as you need to sell hardware, and you're selling the idea of a hardware ecosystem, because it isn't just games, right? People are so focused on, exclusive games are going to go the way of the dodo bird. Well, no, because exclusive games are ways to get you in, one way to get you into that ecosystem, and much like Apple. Like
Absolutely.
again, I'm like people like Apple's a trained. Look at Apple. They own the full stack. They own everything.
Yeah.
And they are so successful.
Why did they want you to? They're trying to funnel you into the store
because they want to sell you more shit.
Everybody,
yes, they want to sell you more shit, Mag.
Apple, Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, Meta, Amazon specifically. Actually, I'm going to make a quick comparison with Amazon and Game Pass. This is something I was talking about with someone. As we know, 15 months ago, Game Pass was no longer the focus, right, for Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
What they ended up doing is that just became a subsidiary in order to keep people there and then funnel them into the Xbox store to purchase microtransactions, skins, expansions, DLCs, whatever else, right? Because that's their bread and butter. And so what they ended up doing is that they just have that there. Now they switch to Project Latitude. Now, what that ends up doing is that by keeping those people in Game Pass, that's not where the money is. That just helps to stabilize the business. If you think about Amazon Prime, do you think that Bezos gives a rat's ass about Reacher Season 3 or the Rings of Power Season 3? He does not.
No.
It is what he's doing is that he's got you watching those shows when I'm sitting there watching Landman or whatever I'm watching. The point is that the next time I get a hole in my sock, I'm already subscribed to Amazon Prime, so I'm going to go buy my stocks on Amazon because it is a lure to get you into the store. And the same thing with Game Pass. Now that it's no longer the business focus, it is now the lure or a subsidiary to keep people into the Xbox store to buy microtransactions and third-party games and whatever else, and the occasional first-party game. But what's the point if you're already on Game Pass? And that's what Sony does as well. Sony's bread and butter. You get the people that buy 83% of Call of Duty sales were on PlayStation.
Yeah.
I think it was it 80 something like that? And then what ends up happening every time they release an Art the Clown or a Cardi B skin for Call of Duty, you're buying it on PlayStation because you already bought the game.
You already bought the game there. That's right.
They are making billions of dollars off by keeping people in the store.
So
that's what it boils down to.
Meg, great points. And Brap, I got a couple super chats, and Brap, I'll go to you because these super chats do tie in. I want to say sorry. Shout out to TEZ83. We all made PlayStation Edition. He said, just take a look at Spider-Man 2. This was the end of our last conversation when we were talking about GTA and the PSSR and PS5 Pro. But he was referring to, he says, just take a look at Spider-Man 2. You guys forgot Mark Cerny said about the Tempest engine performs like a CPU and the power could be increased. So shout out to TEZ. I appreciate that. And sorry I didn't get to it before we switch subjects. But JPF, Brap, I'm going to go back to you real quick. There's a couple of topics. There's a couple super chats here that really kind of hone in. He said, exclusives made this industry great. Competition drives innovation. It's no coincidence that the golden age of gaming was the PS3 versus the 360 generation. And we kind of just proved that. Wapzilla comes back and he says, if exclusives are dumb, why are the only consoles without them not selling? Rockstar said 94 million consoles sold this gen, with 71 million for PlayStation, leaving Xbox at a measly 23 million. Game and Gentry says, I hate both platforms, move exclusives to PC. Well, then they're just not exclusives anymore, right? It's just all out there in the mall. And I do think that things change. Quality can change. Things like that can change. Game and Injure. Pardon me, I read that too quick. Sphinx38 says, it's crazy how Xbox podcasters are saying how consoles are dead just because Xbox lost. Well, that was something Brap was kind of touching on with some of the hippie talk there a second ago. I liked it. Digital Dude 25 says, some people seem to forget that Sony needs PlayStation to be successful. Digital Dude, I'm going to come back to your super chat because that's actually a key thing. Brap, my question to you, and I also want to hear what you were going to say, and crap, I want to hear what you have to say to this, is this. Now with Xbox going with Project Latitude and being third party, okay, like everyone says, that's old news now, right? That's old news. Why wouldn't Sony want to actually do a deal with a team that says, let's say Team Ninja or something like that, or SE moving forward, and say, I'd like to have that for a year, and they go, well, no, we don't want to do exclusives anymore as a third party team. Why wouldn't you? Our other competitor isn't selling boxes. It's not going to sell over there, but I want to ensure that people continue to buy up. It's not about PlayStation trying to knock Xbox out at this point. It's just PlayStation trying to sell more PlayStations. So they want to have that game exclusive. I don't see why they wouldn't take a bag of money. I don't see where third-party devs and publishers may be saying this, but how many times, Brap, you're in corporate America, how many times do people say one thing to you, but then when a check gets flashed on the desk, all of a sudden it's a different conversation?
I think, funny you say that because we often have conversations of we often talk about ideas, right? Or things that we would like to happen, and then the reality of the business world sets in of
Right.
money, right? And so to your point, I mean, if PlayStation, I'm not saying they will, if they feel like it makes sense, and the publisher thinks it makes sense, they're going to do it. You know, and again, like I go back to the idea of exclusives. If exclusives weren't things that were worth the investment of money and weren't worth the risk,
Yeah.
Publishers wouldn't do it. They wouldn't waste their time. Companies don't like losing money.
No.
They're not they're not like, hey, you know what? We're gonna make this exclusive, and hey, you know what? Fuck it, we're gonna spend $500 million.
Exactly.
If we don't make money back, who cares?
Brad, how many times you and Crap were on the show, because you guys have been on the show for years and years and years, okay? Hear me out. How many people did we have on the show? Some people in the gaming media that were like, Xbox can afford to lose the money. And I kept saying they can up to a certain point, but a lost leader eventually, you cannot just continue to have that sieving, the money sieving out.
People need to understand this. It's okay. What each company's doing, I think maybe Mag touched on this. Whatever direction that Sony's going or Microsoft's going in is the direction they feel is best for their business, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what companies do. That's how they operate. And the free market will decide whether or not that works for them. And if you look at PlayStation, you look at Nintendo, the market has said, we like this. We like what Nintendo's doing. We like what PlayStation's doing. They're not going to stop doing that. On the flip side, Xbox, the market said, we don't like what you're doing. So Microsoft pivoted and said, you know what? We're going to put our games on. We're going to create this subscription service. We're going to pitch this value proposition of Game Pass. We put our games day and date. And then, now, you know what? We're not selling consoles. And so therefore, now we're going to start putting our games, our ecosystem. We're going to tear those walls down, that wall garden, and we're going to go a different approach. We're going to bring our games to where the gamers are, which is really, I mean, that is the exact playbook of just Microsoft in general. But I mean, and that's fine. That works for them. You know, this debating of, Microsoft's doing it wrong, Sony's doing it wrong. No, they're doing it different, and different is okay. Different is done in different industries. We don't have these conversations. We don't yell at McDonald's for not offering, a BOGO like the other fast food chain is down the street. We don't. Every company has its own.
But I do think what they're doing is something that can't be done if you're trying to sell hardware. Like,
well, they're not trying to sell hardware.
What they're doing isn't. Well, then they should get out of it, completely. I feel like they're stringing people.
That's not their focus, right?
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but it's like they're selling all these games on PlayStation, right? Whatever it was, Call of Duty, and they're like, "Wow, that's great." You know what else would have been great is if you would have sold 72 million Xboxes and could have sold that amount of games to people, right? It's like you want to people want to discount like selling boxes as being some kind of old school measurement, but the more boxes you sell, the more software, the more subscriptions, the more microtransactions you can sell, the more money you make, right? Like and but you got to give people a reason to get it. Like I don't think that this stuff is going, and because they've changed their direction so much, I don't think this is going to work out the way that they think. Yeah, they might go on and be successful as a publisher, but not all their games are surefire hits, no matter how many consoles they're on.
Yeah, I mean, but crap, I think,
right? Like, I don't think, to be quite honest with you, I don't think, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I understand your point. Like, they should get out of the console business. I don't think they're going to get out anytime soon because. And I think they're going to, the approach, we talked about this on Brap, which goes live every Friday night now, by the way.
Oh, great plug.
Wow, Brap.
Yeah, 8 p.m., by the way.
8 p.m.
8 p.m.
He finally did it.
Yeah, I finally.
That's great.
Instead of the middle of the night?
No, we don't go to the middle of the night.
That's
why.
That's only here,
why
Mag.
I do 8. But I don't think they're going to leave soon because I do think they're going to do what we talked about this on Brap. Logic's talked about this quite a bit. That the Xbox hardware is going to be more. It's going to be more of a not niche, but what's that word I'm looking for? It's going to be like the Surface tablet, right?
Yeah, but Brep, if you still sell 25 million, let's say 25 to 30 million consoles, even next generation, right, on the Xbox side, even from a third-party point of view, like let's say another third-party company, they're not going to not sell it there, because then even if there's the inkling of like selling, let's say 2 million, 3 million copies of a very popular game, they will do so. They're not going to cut Xbox out. The only time that you're going to see that is going to be like the smaller studios, like for example, like your Stellar Blades, right? When they release it, they're like, well, we don't have we're not going to bother going over there. They made that deal with Sony and whatever else, right? So yeah, they're still going to do it. It's still going to be available. It's just not going to be. It's going to be more piecemeal. It's going to be a little bit more niche. I could see them producing based on demand. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to what they've been doing so far. So you're right. In a way, it's going to be a niche.
But if you're not all in, then you're going to see some developers not want to.
Yeah,
exactly. That was my point. Crap.
But crap. How's
games on it? I mean, I think that could be a reality.
So why Jason and Brap? So let me just take what Crap's saying and ask you, Brap or Mag, TC guys, join in here.
Well, I got a question for Crap, but go ahead. Yeah.
Well, my question real quick is, if that's what you're seeing, if you're seeing less people buying that console, and then Sony walks up to a third-party publisher and says, we want this game to be a year or two exclusive, why would they not want to take that money? It's solidified. Then they're going to get the sale of the game too. It's just extra money. Because they're not buying it on Xbox, right?
You know what I hear a lot? I hear a lot now. Oh, Sony's going to follow Microsoft's footsteps, and they're going to put games on Xbox. And my thing is Microsoft cool guide themselves out of that, any chance of that, because nobody owns an Xbox.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's not even worth the hassle for Sony to do it. If Microsoft had if Microsoft had some kind of situation where they had as many consoles as PlayStation did, then maybe guess if everybody was doing it. But it's like Microsoft has, people. They don't. And the other thing I want to say is it really kind of annoys me that there's this group of Xbox fans that don't understand what they lose by having the games go multi-platform. And I'll explain real quick what I mean. First of all, multi-platform games take longer to make, so we're not going to get the games in a timely manner. Second of all, exclusive games tend to take advantage of the specific hardware, right? Like when Sony makes a PS5 game, they're taking full advantage of that hardware. And then they're saying, if we can port it to PC later, if we can make that work, fine. But first and foremost, we want to get this thing running and looking great on, PlayStation 5 to the best. Now, I've always said that. That's why their games look better than Xbox games, despite, Xbox having more power, because Microsoft is busy making their games that run on a potato, on this potato, that potato, a sweet potato, right? A Series S potato, you know what I mean? And a Switch, apparently. So, I mean, you look at it, and that's why, we're losing all that stuff. Like Microsoft keeps pushing the line back further and further. And I just see people taking that, and it really just kind of irks me a little bit, because you guys don't understand what you're losing with that. It's like Xbox was a brand. Xbox had, was known for some stuff, and now it's like, they've lost their identity, right? Like, we know Halo and Gears and Forza, all that stuff is coming to PlayStation. So what's Xbox's identity?
Yeah, where's the identity?
And then people start talking about Game Pass or making money or whatever. And that's, to me, that's not Xbox.
No, and not just that, but like you look at Game Pass. We said this a while ago. If Halo Infinite, Starfield has now come and gone, and the number, and now Call of Duty, possibly the biggest game you could possibly put into Game Pass. Did it move the needle? Probably for a month or two, but then it dropped back down. You see, Microsoft hasn't come out and made tremendous announcements about Game Pass subscription increases and remaining, keeping them up there. So if Call of Duty didn't do it, then, and listen, I'm looking forward to trying out Avowed. I really am. But like Avowed and South of Midnight are not going to move the needle. I mean, that's just being realistic at this point. Because Starfield,
and those games aren't going to sell on PlayStation really either. Same thing with Hellblade 2.
Right.
Like, that game's not going to do any big numbers.
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't matter. Like, Phil Spencer.
Let's be realistic.
Whenever Phil talks, he's always like, the biggest games are everywhere, because he's talking about Apex and Fortnite and, and those games did something that draws in these huge crowds. But unless you want to just start making games as a service nonstop, you're not going to get that type of success. Like, you're not going to put Redfall on PlayStation. No. Why? Because the game was shitty.
Yeah.
Right? Like it doesn't matter. There's some games that they come out with that just aren't going to be that aren't going to do well regardless. Like Pentiment, right? Like these Age of Empires, whatever the hell they just announced. Like RTSs don't really work well on console, and people don't really care.
Yeah.
You know what
It's
I
a
mean?
different
Like
audience.
to me, that it's more of a hassle. It seems like then to port them than anything. Like I was kind of surprised that they even bothered because I don't ever hear anybody on consoles going, "Man, can't wait to play that RTS."
Yeah,
You know, like, I'm just saying.
Crap,
It's
you make a great point, Crap. And
we need that Switch 2 mouse. That's what we need.
Yes, we do, TC. Well, TC, thanks for bringing that up. I was going to say, Switch, the Great Gaming Forte's here. Forte, I mean, are you guys, listen, the Switch 2's coming out probably this summer, right? Isn't the rumors are June or July? Day one, I think everyone on this panel's getting a Switch 2.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Not me, Mooch. I did something. I got to update you on Mooch. I'll tell you later, though.
All right, Rap, I can't wait to hear this.
I got rid of the Denali, so that I'll leave with that.
All right, okay. All right, that's fair.
We'll talk later.
All right, we are definitely going to talk later.
I'm certainly not getting a Switch 2.
Come on, Death Singer.
Come on, you know exactly why.
I know why you're not.
We don't even have to have a conversation about it.
Yeah, let's not get the audience all riled up with that. I'm going to protect my friend
You
Death
know
Singer
exactly
here.
why.
I know more than exactly why. Okay, so everybody except Death Singer is getting a Switch too. Let's clarify, folks. But Forte, we're talking about, what Jason Schreier said, the console exclusives will soon be obsolete. And, I think a big portion of what he was talking about in his article was third-party developers. I don't think he was necessarily... But here you have a situation where, just from the first-party look, you're going to have Switch 2 Forte in your store headlining this summer. And I think they might have 3 or 4 exclusive games for the Switch 2, right? The new Metroid game, a new Mario Kart, possibly a new Zelda, maybe a new Mario game. I mean, it goes on and on. Who knows what else they're going to do? So... And Sony is still holding tight to the 12-24 month of having exclusives before they put it on PC. And I do think that their relationship, a lot of the decisions they've made recently with PC tend to make me think maybe they're moving a little further away from PC again. We're going to get into that when we talk about Valve in a minute here. But they're not going to be doing GT7. They've scrapped that. They're not doing Demon Souls for PC. They're doing some different things here. So I think when it comes down to it, Forte, what was your take when you saw that? Was a pretty big article this week. I thought news really kind of revolved around that.
No, yeah, definitely did. I mean, it's a lot of give and take in that conversation or in that article that he was having.
Yes.
Correct. Do I think exclusives are like going away? I don't think that's the case. I do think the further and further you get away from the launch of a console, it matters less because at that point, it really just comes down to the ecosystem that you play in, and you draw more and more people to that ecosystem, especially when it's like the biggest ecosystem. So most of their friends and stuff already have them. So it's just easy transition to just say, I'm just going to get a PlayStation. They don't even really care about most of the games that's on there. They are, because this is the thing, most of the games that most people play are on everything. So it doesn't matter. It just ultimately comes down to what does that ecosystem look like by the time they decide to buy. And right now, with PlayStation having the, lion's share, especially in this generation of, the player base, that's where people are going to decide to go. And it makes sense. It's the most popular platform when it comes to, high-end gaming, when it comes to teenagers and everything. I think when Shuei did his interview with Greg Miller, he talked about how Nintendo is the proving ground, for younger gamers. They teach them how to play with controllers, and then we take them and bring them on over to PlayStation. And I think that got upset a little bit during the 7th gen with Xbox 360, mostly due to the fact that it came out a year early. They had compelling titles, third parties really, really worked with them, and then PlayStation just kind of, made some, I won't say made mistakes. They just tried to do something different with the PS3. And it just didn't work out for them, as it did with all their other consoles and stuff. But they still came back. It just kind of proved the power of that, of just that ecosystem in general. But I just think the older this is the thing, the people that argue about this are us, the people that's been around for the longest. The further we get down this line of our kids and their kids getting to the point where they're playing games, this conversation will be less and less. I still think exclusives are still going to matter, but it really comes down to the developers it comes down to like PlayStation or Sony at that point. How much are they willing to, fork out on a consistent basis with development costs being through the roof and stuff? Because when you see the biggest games on all these platforms, they're games that, like, with the exception of like Call of Duty or something like that, that's millions and millions and millions of dollars every year that they do to bring that game out every year. Most of all the other games is, once it's made, it's just, updates and skins like Marvel Rivals now. It's a game that has an IP behind it, and, it just released it. All they had to do is basically just hit the gameplay, and now they could just make money off just microtransactions from people in the store all the time. And it's one of the biggest games out there. That's not an exclusive game. That's just a game that people just gravitated to. And now it's like one of the biggest games in on consoles and on PC. So that's really where it's going. But ultimately, it really just comes down. I think Microsoft is. Some people don't think they're making the right decision. I used to feel like putting their games in other places devalues the platform. Well, the console definitely. Yes. It definitely does that. But I just think that for them, they made too many mistakes leading into the 8th generation, going into the 8th generation in 2013 with only 4 or 5 first-party studios closing Lionhead. But I mean, people keep forgetting, literally for 6 years, they had 3 first-party studios. What are you supposed to do? And then most of your output was from third parties at that point, the people that you had to count on making games for you. So it was just a misfire Forte, on so many different ways when it came to how they were building their platform. And then the thing is, once they decided to fix it, that's when Phil Spencer comes out and says, we lost the worst generation to lose. It wasn't the fact that they just lost that generation. They didn't have anything for people, mostly that generation from themselves. And that's where we are now. So now they're scrambling, they're making decisions that they have to make due to the fact that their hardware is not selling. Yeah. People keep talking about is hardware's down. I said, but dude, if you pay attention to these numbers for the last 3-4 years, that hardware has been going down 10, 15, 20%, 32%, 29% now. Revenue is tied to that due to the fact that if you're not selling consoles, you're not making as much money on third-party microtransactions and stuff, which is the biggest boat. I just think at a certain point, they're looking at it as, listen, we know we really screwed up, and you're starting to really see that in the interviews that Phil Spencer is saying now. Yeah. I feel like the conversation Phil Spencer is having with the Xbox player base now is probably the most genuine conversation he's had since he's been at Xbox, because I feel like at a certain point when he comes out and says, or when they ask him hey, what about Starfield? Is it ever going to go? Is it going to just stay on Xbox? And he said, no. Why would I say that? Why would I say any game isn't going to go somewhere else if it has the opportunity to do that? Because I feel like they have 100% came to the conclusion. I
agree with you.
That's how it's going to be now.
I agree with you, but I don't blame Dustin for asking the question when legitimately.
No, I love that he asked the question, because that was basically getting to the very end of what the whole thing meant. Everybody kept saying, gamers in general, if you listen to the business update from last year in January when they were talking about 4 games, and then he said, well, we're only talking about these 4 games, and they talked about Starfield. People should have known then. I told him, dude, all of this stuff is going. They're just talking about these 4 games right now. They don't really know what's going on. And that goes back to Satya Nadella and basically taking over Xbox. So I think they finally got the marching orders now. Mm-hmm. And guess what? Phil Spencer started Game Pass due to the fact that Xbox wasn't selling games. They weren't selling consoles. They thought that they could probably convince people, like you said, get people into the ecosystem. Game Pass is one of the best deals in gaming. They were able to build Game Pass, but they weren't able to build the console base on top of it. Mm-hmm. Then they just started doing the whole thing, which I just disagree with in general, is telling people they don't need something when there's an easier way to do that. You can still talk about the benefits of putting your games everywhere, because I do think putting their games everywhere is probably the best business sense. But you still should be able to tell people why you should have that console in their house. But you can do 2 things at the same time and still make the same, same point.
Of course, it's a great idea to put their games everywhere. Their games are now Bethesda and Activision. Where were Bethesda games and Activision before they signed the check?
They were everywhere.
Okay, so when everyone's like, well, these Xbox games should be everywhere. They were everywhere. You said it yourself. They only had a few developing teams working on games, everything they were always doing. Their relationship with Bethesda, their relationship with EA was always very good. Yes, when they sign the check, those games are now Xbox games. They are, and I'm not taking any credit away there. But they're Bethesda and Activision games. They are everywhere. They're on PC. They're on PlayStation. What was it? Was it Call of Duty Ghosts? One of the Call of Duties was actually on Wii. So yeah. So
Ghost was the one.
We all say, "Oh, these Xbox games should go everywhere." They've been everywhere. So they just bought them. So it is what it is. Shout out to Blaze 4K, by the way. Guys, go over and check out Solidcast. I'm going to be a guest next Saturday night. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday night. Shout out to Blaze. Appreciate you being here. JPF997 says, the best Xbox CEO of all time is still the great Peter Moore. The man and his team created two of the greatest consoles of all time, OG Xbox and 360. Compared to him, Phil, and I'm not going to say that, he says, not so great. So he's a big Peter Moore fan. But I think when it comes down to it, so let me kind of bring a new challenger into the ring here. Meg, let me start with you real quick. Meg, are you here? I see you are muted. I'll go to Meg here. If not, I'll ask Crap because I know he's got a lot to say on it too. But the new competitor that it's a rumor is Valve. So Valve wants to join. Now, I think there's a lot of questions here. Crap, Valve is building a Steam console to rival the PS5. How will this move basically change Sony's strategy? It's two questions, right? It's what do you think of this? Will this be a competitor for Sony? And second part of the question, which I'll probably have to come back to because I know you're going to go off on a rant here, is does this change Sony's strategy and partnership with Steam moving forward, putting their games on there? I think we lost Crap and Meg. Maybe they're the same person.
Maybe
they are. You guys thought it was me. It's not. Brap, I didn't mean to confuse the audience like that, but Brap, I mean, can they be? Can they be? They do. They really, yeah. They're so similar. Do you think Valve's Steam console or Death Singer? If you want to take the mic, please. I mean, you being a PC gamer, Death Singer, I don't know. The Steam box didn't make it last time. What changes it? What changes it this time?
I think they're actually going to give a proper good go at it because, people were a bit suspicious, and then they did the Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck met with great success. So
that's different.
That is different.
That is different, from making a console.
It is, but I think because content they have, because all you have to do is bring the Steam library over, which they can do because it'd be in the same thing. So if you own a game on Steam, you'd have it on the console. So they could do that. So plus you walk into the ring and then you're like, you don't have to pay to play online. Accounts are free. Everything you play in our game, you have to buy the game, but then you don't have to play online. Now you have to tell someone, okay, over here you can play Call of Duty, sure, but you have to pay $100 a year for the pleasure, or you can play Call of Duty over here. Mm-hmm. You don't have to pay the $100.
So Detsinger, may I just interject one thing? If that is the case, of course, that would bring serious competition in that realm of online play, multiplayer, right? But Sony has now built a structure with PS Plus Extra and PS Plus Premium to where they could easily, if they wanted to, if they felt threatened by Valve, which they might, they could say, okay, we're saying multiplayer's free, but if you still want extra and all the games that we give you, that's still going to cost you money for the premium and for extra. So they could drop that. They would lose money on that. They certainly would. But they still have an avenue to drop for multiplayer because Sony only started instituting paying for multiplayer in the PS4 era.
But the thing is, they won't drop it because they make so much people subscribing. A lot of people subscribing to PS Plus do it because they want to play online, right? If you look at the amount of subscribers they have, the majority of them are doing it because they want to play online, right? Sure, some of them use the store to download some of the games, the PS Plus games for the month, and whatever. Yeah, people use that. But the vast majority are doing it because I want to play Call of Duty, I want to play FIFA, I want to play NBA, I want to play etc., right?
Right.
So you're doing that, but then I could see them going at it because they can offer you, well, you got the same multiplayer games over here, and you also have games that don't. aren't on console. Because bear in mind, Steam gets way more games than all three, Nintendo, Xbox, and Microsoft combined, regularly on the store. Doesn't matter what the quality are, but if we're talking like indie games and stuff like that, they get the vast majority of them. And there's a bunch of games that become breakout successes, and they started on Steam, then they get ported to console. So I think they have a very big library, and it would be a way to get, people who are like, well, I like what Steam's doing, but I don't want to have to meddle with a PC. Well, now they're giving you opportunity to not meddle with a PC.
I want to correct my. That's I do want to correct my Forte. I'll give you the mic in a second. I do want to correct myself because Corey Massey made a point. The big games that are out there, don't forget that, Singer. Warzone, Fortnite, Apex, and a few others do not require PS Plus to play multiplayer. Those are free to play. So let's just make that point. The other question I would have for you to ponder while I give the microphone to Forte here, Singer, is those games that are currently only available on Steam, those smaller games that you say become a success with time, is that because they are exclusive to Valve, or are they only because Sony really hasn't opened the door? They could just open the door to more of those smaller developers that typically wouldn't get an opportunity on their store. They would just open that door wider. That's my question. But Forte, go ahead, and then I'll let you respond. That Singer.
No, my question is, and I don't disagree with you, Singer, on it. It's just more of the philosophy behind it. It seems, because for me, the people that you're talking about are mostly going to be people that already have PCs and are already a part of that ecosystem. Whereas it's like, if I'm good, like the reason the Steam Deck does so well is because it's something that it's a part of an ecosystem that you could take anywhere you go.
It does well in perspective. The Steam Deck the Vita has more sales than the Steam Deck. Like it does
exactly. Yeah, so it's like it does something. It's additive to an experience that you already have. Whereas I feel like the thing is, would the Steam Deck sell? I think it would sell, but would it sell at a level that would actually make sense for them to like produce it? Because that was the biggest thing before, like mass production and stuff on. That's why they don't really mass product the Steam Deck like that. Like it's only been I think it's like 3 to 4 million.
The reason I wanted Crap to answer, because Forte, you made a good point before I forget it. Crap says this all the time, and Singer, I'm shocked you wouldn't pick up on this one. Is if you're in the market to play PC gaming, like
just go to buy a PC.
Just go buy a PC. Like I don't know if this console would take the place of that. Do you see what I'm saying? Like why would I go buy a $500 box that's going to be probably not on par with a PS5 Pro or a PS6? I might as well just buy a pre-built PC.
The thing is,
just to chime in, I understand where he comes from in that perspective, because I'm that person. I personally don't want to get a full-on PC. I've looked into it.
Yep.
But those indie games that he's talking about,
yes,
he's specifically talking about me.
Yes,
he didn't mention me, but he's talking about I'm that person that has been considering maybe getting a Steam Deck 2 or something like that, because there are indie titles that take a while to get on PlayStation, and I'd just rather play them when they launch.
That's right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I can understand, but that's the thing. Like you said, a Steam Deck. So you can see yourself buying a Steam Deck because you see yourself going out and buying a console for your TV that's a PC. Or would you just buy a PC?
Just buy a PC.
Or just buy a Steam Deck, like I said. Because
I'll probably just buy a Steam Deck because I'm playing indie games. I'll play my AAA.
And that's my thing. It's like, because since the Steam Deck is a thing already, it kind of bridges that gap. It's like, a lot of people say, well, I got my console for home, and then I have the Steam Deck to play like the smaller PC games that aren't available on console just yet, or anything like that. Because I feel like if you already got a PC, you already have the avenue to play those games. And that's the majority of the people that's on Steam. And then the Steam Deck is just an additive to that experience. And then the console is for the games that you just don't want to wait. Like Singer say, he's willing to wait, but there's a lot of people that's not willing to wait.
That's right.
To for that stuff to hit, their platform and stuff. Like I'm gonna be as much as I want Grand Theft Auto on PC, I ain't gonna wait.
No, I'm not waiting.
I ain't waiting.
No way.
Thing is, with the console, I can see them why they want to do it, because there is an opportunity to come into this space now, and you're bringing something that your opponents aren't bringing, right? You are bringing something different to the table. So
what are those differences?
They don't make enough games for me to think that's the case. But go ahead.
Well, I mean,
when's the last time Valve released a game?
I mean, I think to Forte's point, the differentiator really for Steam is, and I'm sorry to mean to interrupt, but just kind of simplify this is, I think this is for somebody who wants to be a part of the Steam ecosystem, and they may be already part of it already. This could be another option for them. I have a PC. Maybe I want a Steam box under my TV in my living room. Or somebody who's, you know what? I was in the Steam ecosystem. I have an older PC. I haven't upgraded. Maybe this is an option. Or, hey, you know what? I'm interested in the Steam ecosystem. I'm going to do this. I don't see this as a real competitor per se to the PlayStation, because I do think there's slightly... I'm not. Don't get me wrong. There's probably some overlap, because I would be one of those individuals that would buy a Steam box to put it in my living room.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think, generally speaking, they're probably catered to two different consumer groups.
Yeah, and there's also the possibility of multiple Steam boxes. So if one isn't as powerful as you'd like, I know you could just build a PC, but at that point they're essentially building you a PC, and you would have Steam OS on it, and you would just play it like a console. And if you had the money, you'd be like, okay, I don't want to wait for a PS6 Pro or, you know, the next gen console, and you'd be like, maybe I'll just get this new Steam box hardware that's kind of come out in 2 years from this company, and I have the money to pay it, and it's not that big of a deal for me. Well, it's not gonna compete with the PS6. I don't think.
I don't think it will, but I also think there's an opportunity for them to grow Steam. Because Steam, like, account numbers have been growing year on year. Year on year, they've been constantly growing. They haven't slowed down for, like, the last 12 years. They just keep going up and up and up, and they reached a new milestone last year, and they'll reach a new one this year. Mm-hmm. So they're like, okay, people clearly want to get in on the ecosystem, but people don't like PCs. So how do we get people to play Steam, but they don't want to have a PC?
But that's the thing.
So we can meet them in the middle. You could go, here's the box. You don't have to play online, but you also get to enjoy the benefits of Steam. Plus, the Steam OS is really good. And even Steam has a big picture mode, which is designed for controllers. So you could just have the Steam OS is already ready for that. So you just go into it, and it would be, you get all the benefits then of what you want from Steam. So like cheaper games, the Steam summer sales. Like, people are going to go, crazy for that shit.
So I think people hype up the summer sales and the Steam sales a lot, because Sony has, like, in recent years, so probably since like 2020, Sony has like a sale after a sale after a sale. Your game is going to get on sale at some point.
Yeah.
So this is the question comes down. Well, not even a question. I'm just going to tell you, and I'm only going to speak from my own experience. I agree. The thing is, Steam's their numbers are going to go up year over year anyways, because of one thing. Just like I said, when Shuei was talking to Greg Miller, he talked about how Switch was the start. People ushered over to PlayStation just to keep it in the PlayStation ecosystem. But this is the thing that people aren't thinking about. Me personally, just myself, I couldn't stand playing on my PC. I had a PC that was able to play games better than my console for well over 15 years now. Back in 2013, I had a better PC than PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Mm-hmm. I just I preferred not to play on it because I like the ecosystem of playing on consoles and stuff, and my friends and everybody was there. But the thing that happens with everybody every year, at some point, there's going to be something that's going to change for a lot of people. That's why you see those Steam numbers going up, because it's not because more people are just getting into PC gaming. It's just that more gamers are making the decision to switch over to a PC because of just whatever their reason is, performance or anything. Because that was mine. Like, I stuck with console all the way until they basically couldn't guarantee me performance modes on consoles anymore. Mm-hmm. And at this point now, I'm sitting there like, well, shoot, what have I been doing to myself for the last 5-6 years. It's like it's not as bad. I always know it wasn't as bad as people say it is. It was just a preference thing. But more as people get older and they get more disposable income, like Mooch plays on his PC more than he's had ever in the past before. You know, everybody kind of gradually makes their own way in that direction. So I do think that is going to continue to always grow. But just like there's always people moving on from Nintendo, there's always going to be people going to consoles and PlayStation or whatever the hot console is at that time when they're growing up. And as you get older, you're going to make decisions that you got the disposable income to go out and buy an $800 graphics card that is part of a $1,500 build and stuff. And then you'll be like, man, what have I been doing my whole life? And that's just how, that's like the maturation of just becoming a gamer and stuff. So I always think those numbers are always just going to grow. Steam trying to get into the console market, I just feel like I'm not going to say it's a miss for them. I just feel like it should just be something that's an additive to that experience. So if I want to be able to play Steam on my TV, then they give me the ability to do that. Yeah. But that shouldn't be the main reason I'm doing it, just to, get Steam on the TV. It should be additive to the PC that I already have.
See, that's also another thing. Because people, they might go, well, when I get home, I don't want to turn on my PC and game there. I just want to sit on the couch. Well, you could go get it's like the Steam Deck is an additive to the Steam ecosystem. The console will be another way. So, like, for my library, I have like 1,000 games or whatever. I'm like, I could play all of that on my console. So now I don't have to. I can sit at my TV in a comfy chair with the 4K monitor and go, okay, I'm just going to play whatever I want to play. Because you get most of the games anyway. So you're not really missing out on much. So I just think it'd be an additive, and I don't think they want it to sell 50 million or 100 million. They just want to capture what they can capture, because is the Steam Deck the best-selling handheld? No. But are they happy with what it's doing? Yes. Because they don't have unrealistic expectations. It's just another way to get people into Steam who might not have looked at Steam, because Steam has always been a PC. PC, Steam, synonymous. Well, I mean, if you can convince someone, it's like, you really like Steam, but you don't want a PC. Well, maybe try this box. And, you might get some people.
I think when it comes down to it, one of the things we used to say a long time ago, which is why when you guys, now the numbers are out there, so you're like, of course, Mooch, Switch has done great. But we used to say, wow, Switch numbers are just growing month after month after month. And the thing we used to say was, if you had an Xbox or a PlayStation, you know what you definitely had next to it? A Switch.
A Switch.
Right? You had a Switch.
Or two
right?
of them.
Or two. Right. Exact. Great point, Forte. So I think when it comes down to it, especially with Xbox kind of, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, they're leaving the hardware space in the traditional sense. What they're going to come out with next in a hybrid or whatever it is, that's fine. And I'm not discrediting it. I'm just saying, right now, I think PlayStation, even if Steam does well, like Forte, you were saying, and Death Singer, you were saying that the Steam numbers are increasing, people are still buying consoles. Like the people that work in my office and things like that, like, yes, they're playing games that are definitely on Steam, right? They're playing Madden, they're playing NBA 2K, they're playing Call of Duty. Those are games that you could buy on Steam. But the thing that they can also get is occasionally they're the customer that also wants to pick up a Spider-Man or a Wolverine, right? Or they want a Last of Us now that it's on HBO. Oh, I'm going to go pick up the Last of Us. The thing with PlayStation still offers, and I'm using PlayStation as the example because, like I said, Xbox is really kind of going everywhere, is PlayStation still has all those games, the big games that are on Steam as well, those third-party titles. Then they get things like a year with GTA 6, right? Or they get timed exclusives with certain games before they go to PC, like Stellar Blade. Whatever. I'm just picking games out of thin air that maybe were on PlayStation before they went to PC, or even if they go to PC. Do you see what I'm saying, though, Death Singer? So the console still offers a little bit more, I think, in that retrospect, because you'll get that first party, and then you'll also get those games. Because the games that you said you should try to look into Steam, those smaller games, those indie games, like casual gamers are not looking to play Soda Drinker Pro. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Lucifer, by the way. Lucifer, a huge time Mooch Maniac, been with the channel for probably a better part of a decade. He goes, hey, Mooch, check your phone. I just sent you a gift on Steam. He sent me Soda Drinker Pro. I know he's kidding, but he did. He did actually send it. Shout out to Lucifer. But Yeah, so I mean, do you see what I'm saying, Singer? I think the compliment to a PC right now, because I was talking to a couple people in the chat, is if you want to build a PC, I think you should be like me moving forward. I'm going to be PC and PS5, then PC, PS6, and Switch. Like that's where I'm going because I'm going to be playing my Xbox games on Steam. You know, the games I want to buy, like South of Midnight, I'm going to buy on Steam. Avowed, I'll play right now. I still have Game Pass, but once Game Pass is over, I would pick Avowed up on Steam if I wanted to play it, or whichever game comes down the path, right? Or I'll play a game like Doom. I'm going to buy on PS5 Pro. So I think having a PS5 Pro, soon to be PS6 next generation, and a PC and a Switch, that's like your whole hardcore world on one desk. If that makes any sense.
I see it, but it's just another way to get in, but also
yes, you're right. You're right.
Thing is, Steam has its own benefits, like not paying to play online. That might convince someone to give it a shot because it's like, oh, I don't really use any of the features, so let me just get a box and then just play my Call of Duty, and you don't have to worry about anything. Because now, if people get a bit more money conscious, like let's say subscriptions and stuff keep going up in price, PS Plus will go up in price again, Game Pass will go up in price again. So eventually, some people might be like, well, I'm not willing to pay whatever it is, and you might be, but it's also, games come at a discount on PC, and there's other benefits. So, on Steam. So, I don't know. It's give and take. I think it won't sell near what the PS5 does.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's meant to. I think it's just meant to capture the audience that wants the benefits to play on PC, but don't want a PC. Because all they want is a console, because you don't want to have to deal with, are my drivers up to date? Are my blah, blah, blah up to date, etc.
So, it's funny. Shout out to Aaron. And Aaron, Aaron has also been, following and a part of the chat for quite some time. He's gone from Xbox to PC, or pardon me, Aaron, I believe you said you've gone from Xbox to Switch. But he says, Mooch, you're saying, that they'll want to play, I don't know if you guys know about that game, Baby Steps, that's going to be coming. And I don't know, Baby Steps may also be coming to PC day one as well. That I don't know. Very well could be. But, Aaron goes, what do you think, Mooch? People are going to want to buy a PS5 for Baby Steps? And I'm like, but that's the thing, though. That's the difference between like what the Xbox and PlayStation ecosystem have felt like as far as the game store catalog. Those little games that go over there, you guys remember when they got like soccer cars? Remember Rocket League? That was like a phenomenon. So now Rocket League is like a cult phenomenon. It is. It's unbelievable. Like people are still playing that, and it's like mad. I know it's free to play now, but like it's crazy. So Baby Steps is a lot like Death Singer. There's a lot of games on Steam that are like a Baby Steps type of game, right? Where you go, Mooch, I bet you've never even seen this game before. I can't remember that one game that caught on Steam and on PC, Death Singer. It's the one where you're like a guy that's sitting in like a vase or a craft, and he's got a pickaxe, and you got to kind of climb up, and it's like you mess up. It's all about timing. And it's a very simple game. I don't remember what it was called, Cliffhanger or Cliff something. Anyways, that thing caught the world by storm. There was people streaming it nonstop when it came out because it was so frustrating for gamers. Was that a game that was a AAA game? No, it looked like it was made in a garage by two different developers, but it caught fire. So those are the types of games you can make fun of them. That's fine. It may not be your bag, which I respect. But at the same time, those are games that are funny. So I guarantee you, if we stream Baby Steps, it's freaking hysterical. It's probably going to be a funny game to stream, people to watch. I bet you it ends up doing quite well on Twitch, at least for a couple of weeks. I don't think it will for like months and months. I do have a super chat here. Shout out to Face. He says, Face23 comes back. He says, they confirmed they are not doing a Steam machine. Did you guys hear that? Last I heard, there was no confirmation in either direction. It's still a rumor. That's why I said Valve, Valve's that's a rumor that Valve to build a Steam console. Right, guys? I didn't hear that it was...
I can answer this. There's still two rumors out there that there's no confirmation on the Steam machine, and there's no confirmation on the Xbox hybrid that's been out there. And I have been digging deep because I do have a lot. I got my fingers deep in what's going on at Microsoft, and I still can't get a straight answer out of anybody. I just know that a handheld is coming, and then at one point, and now I haven't heard anything in a while, but the other thing was that there was a dedicated box, like an actual console box that they're selling next generation. But this hybrid business, I keep hearing about it, but the people that actually work there are not giving me a straight answer. So I haven't been able to confirm. But they're also not denying it either. So let's just leave it as up in the air.
That's fair. That's fair. Shout out to Lucifer. He says Microsoft and Valve work together. Next console is Xbox Valve, and it runs Steam games and Xbox front end for back compat going forward. And it was funny. I know Crap had to leave early, but I still don't know if that marriage makes perfect sense.
Point?
Yeah, what's the point? Right,
Mag? I can't understand. Where's the advantage for Steam? Where's the
Yeah, where do they? Right.
I don't understand. I don't get it. I mean, I really don't understand. I can understand for Xbox gamers if they want to be able to access Steam games without a PC. I get it. I mean, all right, well, you could do that. It just doesn't seem like a lot of those games are built for keyboard and mouse as well. And so therefore it doesn't. I don't know. Are they going to translate to a console that you sit on the couch and play with a controller? I don't know.
But the whole point of but Mag, think about it for a second. The point you take an Xbox game, you put it on Steam. Xbox makes whatever it is. Xbox is going to make the 70% of it, right? Is that right?
70% publisher fee, yeah.
Right, so they'll make 70% on it. What
the hell's the point?
What's the point of having Valve come on? Is Valve going to take a cut?
It's like
what?
It's like when Sony. It's like Sony didn't even flinch when they lost the marketing rights for Call of Duty. They're like, okay, well now we don't have to pay them, but we're still taking 30% of all those game sales.
Yeah,
without having to pay them, the marketing fee. So they're just sitting back and collecting.
Now
and
they're just
let's also not forget they're also taking 30% of the microtransactions as well, skins, DLCs, Vault editions, all that other stuff.
Yeah,
they're taking 30%. So from this point of view, why would Microsoft waste their time, money, resources in order to partner up with someone that they could just still collect 70% for doing absolutely
nothing? They could take the whole thing and just sit on it. Yeah, exactly. I don't quite see that. So
I don't understand the allure of it. So.
I mean, I know they have a relationship. We'll have to see. Shattered Glass 23 says Steam Deck is not a success. If PSP or Vita, Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo sold those numbers, it would be a failure. Steam Deck is a failure. I don't think Shattered. You could say that the numbers are not electrifying, but I would not call it a failure because it was always developed to be a complement to the PC.
Yeah. We don't know what the internal KPIs are for that device, how much money they spend, how much, how much what the margins are on that device. So I mean, you can't say, oh, it sold only 10 devices, therefore it's failure. Well, if it cost them a penny to make those devices and they're selling me at $1, they sold 10. You get the point. I mean, so we just don't know.
Right.
Yeah, and seeing this from what you said about it being a failure, it's like, but Steam's just go from strength to strength every year. And this is just another way to get people to, it's like a companion device, the same way PlayStation made the Portal, right? Now, the Portal's a massive success. Well, they said it's a success to PlayStation, and they sold, I don't know how many units it is now, the Portal's at.
I don't want to say a number, but last I had heard, and guys, don't quote me, I heard over 2 million.
Right. It's a success, and they're like, we're happy. This is fine. Steam will be fine with the 5 million or whatever they sold because it's just a companion device.
Exactly.
It's just, I want to play my Steam games on the go. Well, here we go.
There you go.
Your Steam games on the go. So it doesn't have to. It's not like the Switch, which is Nintendo's primary. This is our gaming device. It needs to sell this much because this is everything we got. All our eggs are in the Switch basket. They're not. Steam is just a store, essentially. That's all Steam is, a store. Just so happens to be the biggest platform and store on PC. But, they don't have any hardware apart from the Steam Deck now. So it's, to them, whatever they could sell is whatever they could sell. And I'm sure they're happy with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was going to ask TC, but TC had to leave. Meg, I'll ask you because maybe you can, and I know Forte is probably going to comment on this as well. I do want to talk about the state of play leaks that are kind of popping up. The rumor, Meg, is we're hearing February 14th. I mean, listen, two things just strike me wrong with this. A, that's a Friday. They generally don't do a Friday. B, listen, Valentine's Day is not going to stop it, but I mean, it's not. If it's going to be anything, it's going to be the 13th, the 12th, or the week after. I mean, you think the 14th holds any weight?
Usually they do these things on a Tuesday to Thursday,
right?
During the middle of the week when more people are less inclined to start, moving off into the weekend. For the traditional Monday to Friday people, anyway. Friday doesn't seem to make much sense. I would have said like a Thursday. I would have believed. But it is coming up. I mean, we've heard it from multiple people, multiple sources. And then, of course, there's been the leaks out there. The trailers have been leaking. I've already seen 2 of them. So I'm sure you guys have seen clips of some of them here and there. Metal Gear got out there, stuff like that, right? So, anyways, I can't see the Friday. Doesn't make much sense, but I can see next week. Next week makes a lot of sense to me. But the thing is, if they haven't, what is it now? What is it, Thursday? If they don't speak on it by the end of this week, but like by tomorrow, then I don't think we're going to see it next week.
Yeah.
I think it'll be the week after because they like to build a little anticipation there, right? However, hold on. Let me just throw in a little curveball here. Here's the thing, though. With these leaks, does that accelerate it? And then they have to drop it, you know what I mean? Because they're like, okay, we'll get it out there now because now, people, it's like when the Switch, when the Switch did their the reveal trailer because all those leaks came out and they're like, all right, just drop a reveal trailer so people know what it is, they see it, and then we'll do a proper deep dive in April. So maybe they look at this situation and say, hey, you know what? It's getting out there. The trailers are out there. Dreamcast guy's already talking about it. He already watched two of the trailers as well, and it's out there. I think they're going to have to get in front of this. So, like even the rumor of Castlevania.
Right. So, no, I hear you. But here's my
accelerate
my follow up to that. No, my follow up to that is just are these state of plays enough at this point? Are they enough?
Yeah, well, I mean, clearly they're still the market leader as it stands. So I mean, like last year they
should we be getting a proper? Well, do you remember these? Listen, guys, the state of plays they range from. We're going to deep dive into a new game that's coming out to we'll show you a large spread of indie games and maybe one internal to 2 or 3 of these ago, State of Plays. They did an outstanding first party. Remember they threw 2 VR games and they had this, they had that. That was great. So I never know what I'm going to get with these State of Plays. Is this
a problem?
That's
There's
what I mean.
Inconsistency, Mooch.
They need to better define it.
Yep, that you're absolutely right. There's an inconsistency in the way that they produce them. Like some of them are like 10 out of 10s, and then the other ones are like that could have been in like one of those shows they used to do ID at Xbox with all those indie games.
Yeah,
like, okay,
and
so like a ho hum. I think that would have been a lot better. Is that I think that Sony needs to. They don't need to do anything really at the end of the day. But my personal feeling, if you were to ask me, I would say they need to do one of those big shows again. You know what I mean? Like Xbox still does those big shows in June.
Yeah.
The game showcase. I think that Sony could do the same thing. And then what I would think would have been a good idea, do something like that to show off the second half of this generation. Say, okay, guys, we've got 3 years left, presumably. This is what we've got coming out for the next 3 years, and that sets the anticipation, and it also helps drive sales, right? Because at that point they're like, "Holy crap, I can't wait to play." I don't know, fill in the blank, and then I'm gonna go buy myself a PS5 or whatever else, and then you build that anticipation. They did it with the PS3, they did it with the PS4 to great success. I know, Mooch, you were the one who was talking about it for like 3 years. It's like everybody lost their minds when Joel kicked a peach over to Ellie while he's playing the guitar, and then we didn't see the game for 6 years.
That's right.
But you know what? I mean, it still was a thing. It still was a thing that drove consoles, and it drove people to buy them in anticipation, saying, "Holy crap, I can't wait to play X, Y, and Z." These state of plays. I understand the focus of them. They're a little bit more of a deep dive. It's more of like an intimate setting where you're like, okay, I'm getting little snippets of this and that, whatever. We're showing what's going on. But for once, I'm actually asking them to take a page out of Microsoft's playbook and say, do a developer direct at the beginning of the year to show all the games you're coming out for that year, and then maybe give a little glimpse into the future. And then you know what I mean? Like they used to do, and those were highly successful. And to varying degrees of success with Microsoft, but I mean, at least the shows are good. Right? So the shows are successful. I thought the developer direct was a great show.
It was a very good show. Very good show.
Yeah. It was a very good show. And then their game showcase last year was also a very good show.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, well, that's how you do it. Again, Sony really doesn't have to. I mean, they're just, they're curb stomping the competition. I mean, up until the Switch 2 comes out, we'll see how that performs against. However, that's a different audience, right? For all of us, that's not going to be the Switch 2 is not going to be our primary gaming console. That's more of like a subsidiary of what we're actually going to do, or something to complement our gaming ecosystems, right? But the thing is, they really don't have to do too much because they whatever. But they're leading the market. But however, the thing is, they still should give the people, a lot of the average Joes that don't listen to these podcasts, don't do these shows, aren't on YouTube, reading up on this stuff every day, listening to other people's talks and their thoughts and feelings. They don't know what's going on. Right?
That's
and so
it.
I think that it should get out there to show everybody we got a new Venom game coming out.
So there's this delicate balance. We might as well talk about it, right? For a second, the delicate balance is showing games too early versus waiting too long. Right? I mean, we saw Avowed 5 years ago, it felt like, and now it's coming out, of course, this month. So, I mean, how far out do you want to see these games? They showed Ghost of Yotei at the last state of play, and here we'll be playing it this year. They're doing a little bit more, keeping their cards closer to their chest. And Crap said it earlier tonight. You've got all these games that are coming from now Microsoft Game Studios, right? Are coming over to PlayStation. Right. So the system is getting new games.
Well, but the problem is people didn't buy a PlayStation to play those games. They bought them. A lot of people, but the ones that at least are having the conversation, bought them because they want to play PlayStation games.
That's right.
And that's my biggest thing. Like, for me, the reason I bought a PlayStation is for a PlayStation first party game. So I just really want to know what they have cooking. It's just a bonus that they're getting games from everywhere else, but we definitely need to see what's been happening with them because they've been very, very quiet over the course.
No, I agree. I think they need to show what's going on. We need to see a little bit more from Interstellar, right? We need to see what's going on with Ghost of Yotei. I know they had the leaks, and I know that after the leaks, they really want to keep the Wolverine stuff close to chest, but they really should reveal something, even if it's a few minutes long, like a upcoming. And I use the word showcase because I think showcase holds more weight. But that showcases might be a thing of the past. I mean, shout out to a hero down under in the chat. He says, Mooch, we've all kind of grown up. He goes, the times have changed. They're probably just going to only do these state of plays moving forward. Which I guess that's fine, but then just put more content in there like they did 2 or 3 state of plays ago.
Well, the thing is, once again, it goes back to the consistency. Because some of them are just showing like much smaller games. They're not showing much. And then all of a sudden you have a next one that's showing like 3 big bangers.
Right.
Like, holy crap. That was huge. And then the next one is somewhat muted and a little bit disappointing. Right. So like that's they need to find a balance there, I think. But at the end of the day, they really don't have to do a whole lot of anything. Look at last year. A lot of people are like, oh, they had nothing. Oh, they had nothing. There was nothing. Oh, they had nothing. They had 5 out of the 6 first Game of the Year nominations were only available on the PlayStation.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah. People forget that.
What nothing?
That's the thing people don't understand. A lot of folks, and I know we're in the community, and you can make an argument to say that's not why I got to play, and that's not why I'm a PlayStation gamer. That's fine. But at the end of the day, most consumers, when they walk in, they go, I can only play Final Fantasy VII here. Okay, that's great. I can only play this game here. Okay, that's right. They see that. They don't know their time. A lot of people out there, the general consumer doesn't know their timed exclusives, and they frankly don't care.
That's 10 to 12% of the population, or the gaming population, know those intimate details as to what's going on.
Right.
The majority, like you said, the 85 to 88% of players out there have absolutely no idea. All they know is, can I get this here? Can I get this there? And that's all there is to it. Yeah. Right. And so that's what they do. And like, oh, I can buy this here. Okay, well, give me that, and then I'm going to play it there and whatever else. And that's where a lot of their bread and butter is.
Yeah.
Right. But the thing is, I think they need a more balanced state of play. That's all I'm saying. Like, maybe show a couple of partnerships, right? Like, let's say you have a couple of partnerships, show one indie game, and then show one AAA banger, and then maybe a glimpse of something in the future, and that's it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It says,
that's fair.
Just something, even like a 15-second teaser of what's coming up in the future, and you show nothing else, no release dates, no release years, no nothing, just something to give a morsel to say, in the future we got this coming. Just thought you'd like to know, or whatever. We got a Venom game on the horizon after Wolverine, which apparently is rumored, right? So they've got like a Miles Morales expansion kind of thing, right?
Correct.
So like you talk about that stuff, give them a morsel. Just have Venom show up and just go whatever, right? And then that's it.
Right.
And you leave it alone and you let people speculate and have some fun with it. And then
people buy a console just because a Venom game will be coming down the horizon. People will do that. I mean, I'm still excited for Wolverine, and it was mentioned 4 or 5 years ago, for God's sake.
Well, yeah, it is. And then like again, you've got the partnerships. I don't know who has the marketing rights. Is it for Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Delta there? Is that Xbox or PlayStation? Does PlayStation have the marketing rights for that?
That's a great question. I would want to say, I thought the first time we saw that was during an Xbox showcase.
We did see it there first, but I don't know. But
I have no idea.
But apparently there's trailers they're showing. I think that's going to be tied into the state of play, right? And then the other thing, we know that they have deals with Capcom.
Yep.
And then, of course, there's the big kahuna in the room is going to be most likely, as I had already heard last year, that GTA 6, the marketing rights was already secured by Sony.
Okay. Yeah,
right?
I would.
That was last year.
I don't know. I don't know, and I'm not going to pretend to know. But if I was a gambling man and you said you have to put your money down, I would definitely say GTA 6 has the marketing rights with PlayStation.
The last one that Xbox had was Grand Theft Auto 4.
Yeah, it's quite some time ago.
All the other ones, 3, Vice City, San Andreas, 5, obviously, and were all marketed. And Red Dead Redemption 1 and Red Dead Redemption 2 were all marketed by Sony.
Yeah, I don't see that changing. I really don't.
No.
Shout out to Sheffield Sphere. He says, you know what? The general population tends to ask the 10% console advice. That holds more weight than we think.
That's true.
I do agree with him there. I mean, a lot of people know that, I have my ear to the ground, this and that. So a lot of people will ask, hey, is this going to be an exclusive for this? Is the PS5 Pro worth it? What's happening with Xbox? I heard this, and this. Like, people do ask that are not reading the articles we're reading or know some of the gaming media that we listen to or some of those folks. No. So that's a good point, Sheffield Sphere. I do appreciate that. I did want to ask one question that I kind of leapfrogged over. Death Singer, I'll start with you real quick here as we get over the 9 o'clock hour here in New York. I do want to say, Death Singer, do you think, though, going back to the Steam conversation, it's a different question completely. Do you think that if the Steam console becomes a reality, does Sony maybe not put their games moving forward on Steam? Because now their games would be on Steam. Why would they want you to buy the Steam console version of their game when they want to make 100% on their store? Death Singer is getting a snack as we speak, folks. I can tell, even though he's over in Wales.
He's waiting for your question to show up on PC.
Let's go. That'll be a year from now.
You're waiting a year from now.
At least 1 year for his answer. But before that year comes up, Forte or Meg, if you guys do you see what I'm Meg, we were just talking percentages and money. Is this a situation where if you buy Wolverine on PlayStation Store, they get 100% of that? You buy Wolverine a year later after they release it on the Steam over there, they're not going to get the full 100%. Does this change their relationship or no, it doesn't?
No, it doesn't at all. No, because it like I said, if you're not doing any heavy lifting and still collecting 70%, that actually is probably the better option for them, because they're just like, okay, well, you know what? Outsource it there to PC. Eventually, you take your 70%, you sit back, you kick back. However, the thing is, though, they do have to have a proper port. Look at the disaster that they had with Last of Us 1 and then Spider-Man 2. They got to be great ports in order to do that. But you're at the end of the day, you still want them in your PlayStation store. This is what I talked about literally 2 hours ago, that you need to have the people in the store. And you need to drive them to the store in order to be able to buy it. Like I said, those microtransaction skins, DLCs, expansions, all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
That is their bread and butter, right? And then, of course, buying third party there as well. They collect 30% for doing absolutely nothing. So what you want, number one, is going to be PlayStation. They said it already. They said it even for next generation. They said the focus of next generation, we assure you, will still be the console, will be the focus. not day and date on PC. You're not going to get that. I am absolutely telling you that's not happening. So that, except for service games like your Helldivers 2, that kind of thing. But anything else, it's going to be exclusive there because you're going to get the 100% of the sales from there on the system, and you're going to keep those people in the store purchasing.
Yeah,
That's what it boils down to.
That singer, are you back? Are you from the future?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. Yes.
We got you.
My driver's updated and it knocked my
those
audio.
damn PCs, Mag.
Hey man, those NVIDIA drivers aren't gonna update themselves. Don't worry. Welcome to PC gaming.
Oh, that singer.
$4,000 PCs. There you go.
That singer. What do you think? Do you think Sony pulls their games, from Steam if they make a Steam console where they would make 70% versus the full 100 on their own store?
They'd still do it because I don't think they see PC as competition. Plus, you still have you might have the box out there, but that's the mass market of Steam will still be purely on PC. So you'll still release your games there because they're trying to capture the PC audience. So they'll have to put it there to that's the only way you can capture the PC audience. So they'll do it.
Okay.
They'll keep the games there despite the console. They'll still keep them there because 70% of people you would have never got into your ecosystem is better than 0% of people you want to go into your system. So
no, that's fair. I forgot to ask you guys that question earlier. So I did want to ask you guys that before. And then last but finally not least here, Kadokawa's Q3 financial report comes out, and they get a little bit more into detail that Sony will be the main publisher going forward. Not on all their games, right? They still have some contracts out there with other publishers, but until those contracts run out, Sony will be the main one going forward. Meg, what does that mean? I mean, does that mean, listen, I love how the industry, they say the goals shift, everything shifts left and right as the wind blows. But now, we see that the Ninja Gaiden 4, right? Being developed by Platinum Games, not owned by Microsoft. Microsoft publishes it, and now they're saying it's a first party game. Okay. So now we're playing that game, that's fine. If that's what it is. Yeah. So now my question is, Sony is publishing a lot of the Kadokawa games, which are some are from Software, etc. Are those games now first party games, Mag?
Well, you want to start doing that. I know there was some controversy there, Mooch. And then what was happening is that's a first party game now. I'm like, oh, well, in that case, if we want to play that game, and I'm not like I said, I don't like going too deep on one side or the other, but I just say this. I'm like, well, let's make it even here. That means that last year Sony had 7 first party games.
Right.
Okay, not 0 like everybody. Oh, sorry, not 1 like Astrobot like everybody said. And I'm like, so it's only when there's a convenience factor that it becomes. No, there was only 1 game. And then they published all those other games, Stellar Blade, everything else. I don't have to list them all. You know the ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I'm like, so those are all first party now? I said, so by that logic, they absolutely destroyed last year in that respect. Right. So I'm like, I don't put any credence into that argument. I just walk away from it.
Yeah, me too. I'm with you on that. It's not. No, I'm right there with you. I saw that and I said, every so many years there's always a change in words, and then we're going to change what the rules are. If that's the rule of change this time,
given up.
That's fine. But I'm with you. I also have my hands in the air. Yeah, I'm with you. But is this good? Yeah. Is this a good thing? I mean, it looks like Kadokawa, just to get back to the financials and Sony it looks like they're going to be moving forward with more ownership over there, I think, as time goes on. We had a few people. We had the great David Faulkner on weeks and weeks and weeks ago when this was broke. He was like, because of the rumors that were coming out, Meg, before the announcement, you have to be very delicate. You have to be very careful for insider trading, right? You can't be. So they ended up not buying him out. They ended up just doing it in a slow merger, it seems. So...
Yeah, or just for mutual financial benefit. What ends up happening is that they can use a lot of the resources that Sony has.
Yes.
So that if they require, let's say, some extra team help, maybe one of Sony's teams can go over there and give them the final push over the line. To finish a game, to polish. We're having a little trouble with combat on this one. No problem. We'll send you this team over there, or whatever. All the companies do it. I mean, you look at like Last of Us was worked on by like 14 studios, not just Naughty Dog, right? So what you get in a partnership with a company like that? Same thing with Stellar Blade. They did the same thing with Stellar Blade. They did the same thing with Black Myth Wukong. They send people over there, and maybe not Black Myth Wukong. I can't even remember, but certainly Stellar Blade. And when they needed assistance on some, no problem. We have a partnership. We have a mutual financial agreement. We will send some people over there to help out and get it over the finish line and get this thing up to the gold seal of approval, right, in terms of quality. That is only going to benefit both studios. So it's going to make them look great. It's going to make like FromSoft look fantastic for the many games that they got coming out. And then it's going to make Sony look great. Say, hey, listen, you can get this game here. Or maybe they have a timed exclusivity deal. Maybe they have something like that. Who knows? If they don't, it doesn't matter. You still got the marketing rights for it so that they're going to show it at State of Plays, this and that. And then the majority of your players are still going to buy it on the PlayStation ecosystem. So either way, it's a win-win-win-win-win if you think about it in that respect. And that is something like, for example, Tencent is... They are magicians with that. The Chinese don't mess around. What they end up doing is that they keep their fingers, they got their fingers in the pie, but they don't take the pie with them because they know that there comes more fiscal responsibility with that. So I think the best thing that they can do is just keep their fingers in the pie and be able to lick their fingers once in a while, and then they got a piece of everybody's pies, but they're not taking the pie home with them so that someone says, "Hey, you owe us 3 slices."
Yeah. No,
well, I mean, Tencent ain't worried about anything because Tencent owns Riot Games, and Riot Games are mastercraft in how to make successful live service games. Because, I mean, Riot has their fighting game coming out this year, supposedly, if it does come out. Because it's like they could do anything, it seems, and succeed. You make the world's most successful MOBA, 145 million monthly active players. Okay, that's cool. 145 million around the world, nice. How about you make a different game? All you could do is MOBAs. Okay, we'll make an FPS. Valorant comes out, 50 million monthly active users. Okay, cool. So you can make a shooting game. You can make a MOBA. Now you're going to make a card game. Oh, that was successful. Okay, now make a fighting game. And they're making an MMO. So Tencent could just ride off Riot's success.
They could do that. Sure, but those are ownership. That's ownership. What I was referring to is getting their fingers in the pies of Ubisoft, in EA, in Warner Brothers, and then what do they do? They stay under the radar so the FTC doesn't stick their nose where it doesn't belong. The Chinese are very crafty when it comes to that stuff, right? They keep right under the level, fly right under the radar, so that they take 4% of a company, they take 3% of this company, 5% of this company, 2% of this company, and then what do they end up doing? Slowly but surely, those octopus arms are wrapping around the industry in one way or another, and then they got their, like I said, again, to use the analogy, they got their fingers in all these different pies. And so that's what I was getting at. So the same thing here in this situation. When you've got like if you got like a partnership between Sony and FromSoft, Sony can have their fingers in that pie and they can release fantastic games. You think it's going to stop there? It's not going to stop there. They're going to branch out into Shift. Is it Shift? Or Shift Up? Are they who the ones?
Shift Up is Stellar Blade, yeah.
Okay, you don't think that they're already in discussion with working on the next game, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
If they don't purchase the studio, then guess what? Then they got 5% of that company too. You guarantee that that's happening behind the scenes, and then they will continue to grow in that respect, and that is how they become bigger and bigger and bigger without having to take the burden or responsibility of ownership. Right. It's a brilliant way to run the business. I think it's going to be great for both of them.
Yeah, no, it's the old, what is that, from Goodfellas, remember? F you pay me. That's it.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's exactly what it is. Guys, great show today. I had a lot of people actually pop in that do a lot of other podcasts. Say, yo, Mooch, been listening all night. Great show. Loved how we got a little bit of banter in there. We got some great topics. Listen, it's one of those things where we are going into one of the biggest years in gaming, guys. I'm very, very excited about 2025. Just some of my personal favorites, and I think a lot of your personal favorites are out there too. We've been talking about this for a long time. I'm a big Borderlands fan. You guys know that. Mafia, the Old Country. And then I know Death Singer's got everyone pretty much amped for Avowed. I didn't get to this one subject, but they did talk to the Avowed game director. And listen, this isn't really news. Like I said, everybody kind of knows this now. But they were like, oh, it's going to come to PS5. And she kind of smiled. Does that mean it's a yes? No, it doesn't mean it's a yes, but it means it's probably on the way. So, you've got Avowed. I hope it does very well. So you're either going to be checking that out. Oh, Mooch said I missed a question here. I don't believe I missed a question. Moonshot, let me know you missed my question last week. Moonshot says I missed a question from last week. Moonshot, hold on a second, dude. Let's just get to the bottom of this. I can see all of the ones from last week. Thank God. Moonshot. Let's see. I did find one. Seems to me like the majority of gamers are not on board with anything Xbox related, yet you'll see the outlets and pundits plead how much sense it makes. Moonshot, is that the one you're referring to? That says it's from last week and it was one of the last ones. Or do you think Microsoft pays these big gaming outlets like IGN to be favorable in their judgment towards every decision coming from Xbox? I do. All right. So, Meg, I do think he makes, a bit of a point here. It's like, he says, do you think Microsoft, I don't think Microsoft pays the likes of IGN or any of them. No, I don't think it's that. But, there's, how do I put it? There's an investment there to get people to come on your show and do things. You have exclusive interviews. You get behind the scenes at the showcases. You get flown out. And, it's like, listen, it's part of the business. That's just part of the business.
That's happening everywhere, though.
It's happening everywhere.
Disney, when Disney releases another shitty MCU movie for the last 5 years, not since Endgame, but what do? They call the pundits. They get you over there. They give you a big bag of goodies and swag and all this and that, and then they're like, okay, do your thing. Try to keep it favorable.
Right.
And what you read between those lines is try to keep it favorable, or this is the last one you're getting invited to. That is common practice, and that's what ended up happening when you get your John Campias and this and that doing the Hollywood stuff, right? The Hollywood pundits. If he doesn't give a favorable review for Shang-Chi, then they're not going to invite him for the next piece of shit Marvel's releasing.
Meg,
right?
you're you know what I mean? You're spot on. I think the thing that I would want to say to Moonshot and anybody who feels like that is times have changed, right? A lot of time has gone by. If you remember back in 2013, 2014, Meg, podcasts weren't doing what they were doing. People weren't subscribed to gaming podcasts left and right like they are now, or listening to all sorts, not just podcasts, but gaming media across the board. I would say this much, right? I would say this much. I would say, all in all, you listen to IGN or GameSpot or any of these places, you guys are doing your own homework. You're listening to your favorite and trusted podcasters, people that game with you. We've always got a rotating panel on here of great people that do their own shows. They have their own channels. And, we do our darndest to try. I myself personally never say like this is just facts. These are always my opinions on the week's news. But when you listen to something that someone's saying on an IGN and you get that feeling deep down in your stomach, you're like, I don't think that's true. You already know the answer, Moonshot. So I don't think it's something where they're being disingenuous. They're giving their opinion, or they're slightly swayed, left or right, because it's business. And I'm not going to fall.
The media now.
Yeah. Yes, I do think that the podcasts are the media now. Yes,
we are the media now, and people don't trust the legacy media as much. It's certainly not much anymore. And that, I don't have to go into what happened in American politics to show that the people had spoken about what they felt about that, and then like influencers and stuff like that. And the thing is, I'll tell you why. I think that someone would rather listen to someone like, let's say, someone you have fans on your channel. I have fans on my channel.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody does.
And then of course when I do the show and when I do our other fans on XNC, on Cole's channel, whatever else. And the thing is, I think that people reach out to me and say, Meg, what did you think about whatever game? Right? Did you like it? Should I buy it? This and that. They ask me because they trust my opinion.
Right.
When IGN goes out there, everybody goes, They go side-eyed. And the thing is, and this is something that I'm going to take from Robert Meyer Burnett, who's a big Hollywood pundit, and he does a lot of great stuff with Nerdrotic and things like that on those channels, and Film Threat. And what he said, Robert Meyer Burnett, said, authenticity is the currency of the future.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Gary from Nerdrotic picked that up, and he says it every week on one of his shows whenever he does like Friday Night Tights, whatever else. 250,000 people watching live.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And he says same thing. Authenticity is the currency of the future, and that is what people are looking for. They're not looking for people paid pundits. They're not looking for paid advertisements. They're not looking for corporate whatever, this and that.
That's right.
They just want to hear from normal people that say, hey, is this game good? Is this console worth it? Meg, should I buy a PS Portal? Do you like it?
Right.
Do you use it outside your house? They reach out to me and ask me these questions.
Yep.
Do I bother buying another Xbox? Should I just get a dongle on the TV? Whatever, right? I could go on forever.
Yep.
And the thing is that they listen to us because they know that we are genuine people. We are not lying. We're not shills. We're not this. We're not that. We are just regular people out there doing our thing. We just happen to be extraordinary speakers.
Absolutely.
That's just a whole other thing.
Outstanding.
But,
yes.
That is what we do. But the thing is that they look at us because we're just regular people. We're in the trenches with everybody else.
That's
we're
right.
out there buying consoles.
That's
no
right.
one's sending codes to my house.
No.
Phil Spencer
No.
hates my guts.
I will say this, Mag, to agree with you on this is like and it's something that Sacred Symbol says all the time. So shout out to those guys. But I buy the games. You know what I mean? I buy the games, Mag,
Yeah.
and I play them. And while I'm playing the games, I'll get a ton of messages. Mooch, is that game any good? I was thinking about picking it up, and we'll have a conversation. Hey, I saw last week's podcast. You picked up the PS5 Pro. I don't sit there and say it's glorious. I say the good, the bad, the ugly, right? And like you say, you give your opinion, and that's the best. And then I say, you know what? But hey, what are some of the reasons you're thinking about picking this game up? Or did you play the other games? Have you played like Monster Hunter World? What is it there? Monster Hunter Wilds. Did you play the other Monster Hunters before you pick this one up? Sure. And it's like, and you have to build a scenario first and build that relationship with the person, whether it be someone from the podcast, someone from the chat, someone you talk to just when you game and play, and you build that relationship. Like Meg said, that's the thing that and I think that's why that trust is built there.
It's the same as asking a friend.
Exactly.
Let's say a friend buys a car. Hey, what do you think about it? I would trust my best friend on his opinion on, his latest car purchase. And I'm like, oh, that new Volkswagen, whatever you got. Okay, cool. How is it? Is it not? And then they'll tell me, they'll be like, yeah, man, I really enjoy this. I like that. I find the steering wheel's a little bit too loose, but whatever. It's not the end of the world. I will trust that person.
Right.
I'm not going to go to Volkswagen and say, what do you think about this car? Because what do you think they're going to say to you?
They're going to say it's a phenomenal car. You need
They're
one.
going to say it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's the second coming of Christ. It turns water into wine. It does all this other stuff, right? And so that's
Meg,
you got to talk to people.
Meg, I think a lot of the times we both like the post-apocalyptic world. We like games like that. But here's Virtual Dan, and shout out to Virtual Dan. Dan, by the way, I understand where you're coming from. Virtual Dan says, I don't need Sony fans or Xbox fans for me to choose to buy a game or not. He says, I've been gaming for 40 years. Dan, here's the thing.
Welcome to the club, sir.
We've been gaming for a very long time too. I hear you, but there has been many a times I'll send Meg a DM or a message. Meg, I see you're playing this game. Is it any good? And it's not that I don't know from my own viewing of the game or what I've seen from the propaganda put out by the dev team if I'm going to like it or not. But I know that me and him have similar play styles, so I will actually or likes in games. I'll say, Meg, is it any good? He'll go, Mooch, believe it or not, here's what I would tell you. I would actually tell a lot of people I know this isn't really up their alley, but I know that you've already played this game and this game in the past. This is just like that. You're going to love it. Right?
Yeah.
And that's a decision maker that adds another check in the column for me to maybe purchase the game.
Sure. That's it. Yeah, exactly it. And like at the end of the day, this is something this time I always keep saying to everybody, and this is something important. People have clipped me in the past, fight with me, lose subscribers, gain subscribers, lose friends, gain new whatever.
Always.
All this bullshit over all this stuff. And the thing is, at the end of it all, I keep trying to tell everybody, I'm like, listen, doesn't matter what channel I'm on, what show I'm doing, doesn't matter where it leans, left, right, green, blue, whatever.
Right.
I keep telling everybody the same thing. We are all consumers. And at the end of the day, we are nothing more. They are not our friends. They are not our family.
No.
They are not our coworkers. They're not anything.
Corporation looking to make money.
They're just there to make money. So therefore, we have to be able to pull ourselves back and look and say, you know what? I have money in my wallet. How are you going to get me to reach into my wallet and hand it to you? You have to work for me. because I'm giving you my money for your product. It's not a guarantee. It's not a given. It's not an anything. You have to prove to me that you have something I want to purchase. So we have to look at that as customers, all of us, even if you're on Game Pass. Even if you're on Game Pass, don't have the attitude of, well, it's on Game Pass. I don't like that attitude.
No.
Because you know that breeds complacency, and I don't like that either. You have to prove every single day that your product is worth my money, because and you have to work for my money. That's how it goes, and that's how it goes for everything. And so why would it be any different with gaming? Would you go out and just buy a shitty TV just because you just happen to like that company? No, you would never do that.
Right.
If there are TVs out there for the same price, but there's a better quality one, but you're an LG guy, but there's a I don't know, there's a Sharp TV out there that happens to be better quality, whatever, for the same price, you're gonna buy the Sharp. What would you say? No, I can't do that because I only bleed blue or whatever.
Right.
Like that's ridiculous.
Well,
That's insane.
I had a buddy of mine talking from the PC essence a while ago. He's a big Intel guy. Now Intel's run into their problems, right, Mag? So he says to me,
right.
"No." I said,
yeah.
So I'm building the new PC. It's been since 2018. I figured this is the year I'll do it. I waited 7 years. Here I go. I'll build another PC. And I said to him, I reached out to him. He's a big time PC guy, and I said, I've known him for over 10 years. I said to him, so should I get the Intel 14900? He goes, no. He goes, no, there's a lot of problems. He goes, go get the AMD. So my point with all this is that even him having his fan tendencies towards one product still had the decency to tell me, hey, don't do that. You know what I mean? Go get the better product. And that's the thing. That's a relationship that I have with that individual. These are relationships a lot of people in the chat have with me. Meg, you said on your channel, on XNC, you guys have that as well. That's it's a great thing. You know, like that's the thing. I come to you with questions. You've reached out to me. And I've had a lot of people in the chat reach out. So, yeah, like I say, to go back to your original question, Moonshot, I would say you do have to remember when you are dealing with those corporations that are dealing in games media, they're making money. That's where I'll leave it. They're making money and they're doing a business, and you can't really knock their game. It's what they're doing. A lot of times they do some really great in-depth reporting as far as game reviews and telling you about the game and how it plays and how big the worlds are, the character development, the time it takes to beat it, side quests, right? They'll get into sometimes performance and how good it is. So you may not like their opinion at the end of the day, whether it's a good game or a bad game, it's on Xbox or it's on PlayStation. But I try to pick out some of the useful information in the reviews and the reporting that are done on big outlets like IGN, etc. There is still value there, So I think that's kind of the way that you should go about it, and then listen to, when it comes to making a purchase, either like Virtual Dan said, listen to yourself if you've been gaming for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Or
46.
Or your podcasts that you do trust, or someone you can reach out to and talk to. I make sure on PlayStation, Xbox, if you guys write me, I always write you guys back. Anyone who's written me knows that. I always do that. If I don't, it may not be that very same day, but it's not going to be shortly. It'll be shortly after you write me. So, and the same thing goes for Twitter as well, or X now. So I want to say shout out to Mag for staying here the 2.5 hours. All the guys who were on earlier were like, yo, I can stay close to 2 hours, but I got a lot going on. It's tough, man. People's schedules have really kind of blossomed and grown. Some people are having families that are young. Some people are like, I got dinner dates. I got things to do. So I appreciate everyone's time that comes on here, because they have dedicated channels and they have dedicated work and family that they have to take care of, and they're here for that. I also appreciate all you guys in the chat being here. Please, guys, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I mentioned it earlier. I'm not going to do the whole thing again. I'm just going to tell you, we are going to be having a video a week at least coming out on the channel. We're going to be experimenting with that in the next 7 to 10 days. And then we are going full-fledged Twitch with a big-time schedule, guys. 3 to 4 days a week, we're going to be over on Twitch. Yes, doing a lot of Warzone, but I'll also be doing any of the big single-player games that come out. Borderlands 4, I'll be playing that through its entirety, and I will be doing that on Twitch. So, guys, go over and follow me. It's Mooch TV, M00CHTV. Drop the O's for zeros. Everywhere on X, Twitter, and X, Twitter, the same thing. YouTube and Twitch. But Mag, thanks for being here, buddy. Let people know where they can find you, and I really appreciate all your time tonight.
Oh man, you know what? That was probably one of the most epic shows I've done in a long time. I don't remember doing a show this long, but I had the time tonight.
It was a longer one. I like it.
It's incredibly rare that I'm here this long, but it's awesome to talk about all these great things with you, and then of course with the panel that all abandoned us. Anyways, all seriousness, you could find me on my channel, The Mag Show. It started 1 month ago, and I'm actually going to. There it goes. I just put the link in the chat for anybody who wants to go check it out. I am 22 subs away from 1,000. So I just started this 3.5 weeks ago, and I'm already 22 away from 1,000. I cover everything. I cover PlayStation, Xbox, third party. I cover Hollywood. I do trailer reactions. I'm doing TV show reviews coming up in the near future when like Last of Us and all those other shows come out. I will be reviewing that. What the hell's his name? Daredevil. Reborn, Rebirth, whatever the hell it is.
Yep.
I'm doing that. I'm doing all these reviews, talks, commentary, news, insider information. I do 2 videos a week on average, sometimes 3, and then I do 2 live streams a week every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern with my wife. That's called Till Death Do Us Part. It's becoming wildly popular. I got people reaching out to me all the time, like, Meg, you gotta keep doing that with your the streams with your wife. Hilarious. Every Friday night, I'd stream with my son, and what we're doing right now, my boy, and we actually stream. We're streaming It Takes Two in anticipation of Split Fiction, which comes out in March.
Oh, that's right.
The same developers who made It Takes Two have a new game in March called Split Fiction. So my son and I are live streaming every Friday night. We play that game as well, and of course, I drop my regular videos. So I'm doing all that. XNC on Mondays with Colt Eastwood. We do that as well. And man, dude, I'm a busy cat, man. I am grinding hard. So it would be greatly appreciated if anybody cares. Go over, sub to my channel, check out some of my videos. Like I said, I cover all the consoles. The only one I haven't covered yet is Nintendo, but I'll get there. I cover all the consoles and all the third-party stuff as well. So go check it out. Sub to me, please, if you can. Like I said, get me over that 1,000 mark, man. I want to open that bottle of champagne.
That's
but either
right.
way, everybody, have a great night. Appreciated all of it, and we'll talk to y'all real soon.
Thanks, Meg. I appreciate it, guys. Just so you know, Meg, a lot of people went over just when you clicked that and did go over and sub to the channel. Guys, go over and check out Meg. He does great work. And actually, I just want to piggyback that. Meg is part of the reason, part of that motivation really kind of picked up. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me too, so I want to have at least that one video, lots of different VODs coming over from Twitch. And like I said, it's going to be great. We're going to be doing a lot of gaming content, especially ramping it up here in 2025. I've got more time to be able to do this. It's one of the things I was telling Meg behind the scenes, and I want to utilize that. And shout out to Rich again, who helps me a lot on the graphic design of the channel. You're going to see some really cool new alerts, different sound effects, new starting screens, a lot of different stuff, mainly starting over on Twitch and then bringing it over here to YouTube as well. So, like I said, one video at least a week from now on moving forward, and VOD content that's coming over from Twitch as we play games, and especially the newer games that are coming out, including Warzone clips, which are going to be fun. So, that being said, guys, hit the like button on the way out. We'll see you next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Really appreciate all of the people that were here on the panel earlier. Mag for staying the whole 2.5 hours, and all of you guys here for staying with us as well. Enjoy your weekend. Go over and try Monster Hunter Wilds demo. I heard it just came out. Let me know what you think. Peace out. Good night.